My name is Matty. You're listening to No Nerds Were Harmed. This is a podcast about movies, comics, games, and all things nerdy. I'm here with my co-host Tyler.
What's up?
We're also here with our producer Sam.
Yeah, I'm back.
She is back.
And I could see.
Tyler, let everybody know what we got for them today, man.
Warrior. Joel Egerton, Tom Hardy, 2011, I believe.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's essentially a UFC movie, I guess, or MMA type movie. But, yeah, we're getting into it.
That's right. We got nerd news for you guys. We're going to talk about Warrior for all you drama nerds. And then we're going to go up Read, Play, Watch and let you know what's going on in the next episode. So we're going to get started here with our nerd news. That movie that I had mentioned to you probably a few episodes ago now called Attack the Block, the one about that John Boyega's in.
Oh, yeah.
About aliens that come down, They just protect their block. They're remaking a part 2. John Boyega is producing it. They're focused right now on the story. He said, we don't want to release when we're going to be doing anything or give you guys false hope. We just want to get a good story down right now because story is everything, which I admire. I'm so glad he's going to do that. But he said he's really stoked to start messing some stuff up pretty soon on up in England.
He must have really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah,
he must have really just enjoyed that whole process and was like, yeah, let's make another one of these.
Yeah, and
it's awesome.
It's cool. Artistically as well. Very cool movie. So whenever you get around to seeing it, you're like, oh man, cool factors.
Awesome. For the wrestling nerds out there, it's been hard to miss. If you like wrestling, it's been everywhere this week for AEW, which is kind of like WWE's competitor. CM Punk, after their big pay-per-view that just happened over the weekend, they do like a press conference after where it's not so much like the guys are in character, but it's also like they're asking like real questions. It's kind of like a real press conference kind of. And CM Punk went on like a tirade about all these things that basically what happened like months ago, starting back from when he left WWE. There was all this bad blood and he was best friends with Colt Cabana, which is a wrestler. They had a big falling out and kind of ended up like suing each other and all this shit. And it got real kind of murky. Mm-hmm. And now both kind of work for AEW. And it's a problem because CM Punk doesn't really want to associate with him. He's been hurt though. And now he just came back and won a title. So he was juiced and like just sitting on this for months because he never really got to let it all out in his, form of whether you want to put it into a work where it's all scripted and fake, or he's actually kind of peppering these real life things into his character. And when he gets on the mic and cuts promos and stuff. So he went off on just a bunch of people and calling out all these, they call them the Elite, which are these 3 wrestlers. They're like a group, kind of like Degeneration X back in the day, of these 3 wrestlers. And he started calling them out. Basically just calling them a bunch of like assholes and they don't know how to do their job and getting like real personal. And when you see these things and it's wrestling, you're like, okay, is it real? Is it fake? This is what they do is stage this type of shit. And I saw this and Jordan, shout out Jordan, my wrestling guy, sent me this and was like, I don't think this is fake, man. Like, and he's really good at always being like, you fell for it. They're working you. If this is fake, CM Punk needs to move into acting and not. That's where the real money is because he is pissed. And Tony Khan, who is like the Vince McMahon of AEW, he also owns like the Jacksonville Jaguars, the football team. Okay. Or his family does. His face the whole time is what tells you like this is not. He just looks kind of like.
Or Vince McMahon's the actor and he needs to get in the fucking movies.
Yeah, exactly. One, but he's Tony Khan has this look of like. Please stop saying what you're saying, Punk.
Please stop talking.
This is not going to end good. But apparently after Punk went on his tirade and all that, he went backstage and the Elite confronted him, which are these 3 dudes, and an all-out brawl broke out like a real life. CM Punk was swinging at people. His trainer got involved, and it was like a 2v3. All these people, chairs were getting thrown on people's heads. Now, like, everybody's gotten suspended. All of those guys had won belts the night before, so now all their championships got stripped. So now all the shit that they've been building up for months, that's how wrestling works, in case you guys don't know. They build for months to build up to belts. It's like long form story writing in a way.
Yeah.
Is all down the shitter because all these dudes got in a real life fight. Now there's suspensions. Now there's lawsuits happening. So now a lot of the guys can't talk about what actually happened backstage because it's an ongoing investigation now. Fines. All of it. So, yeah, it's the AEW's like a mess right now. And it's all like real life wrestling drama. It's not just bullshit, or so it seems. Like I said, if it is a work fake, AKA, good for them.
They're stepping their shit up. Yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, it sounds like this got very serious very quickly, and there's some real consequences coming from it.
Ooh.
So the big tell was they had their first, like, I don't know when AEW premieres. I'm not a huge wrestling guy. I don't know, Tuesday or Monday. Mm-hmm. They had their episode, and there was no mention of any of it. No mention of it. And that's when you know shit is...
They were unprepared for this shit to happen because
and
they
that,
don't
like,
know they don't know how to move forward.
There was,
like you said, scripted storyline.
Correct. No mention of CM Punk, who just won the title 2 days before, which is your new thing. No mention of the nothing. It was all just like, we're going to try to figure this out while we continue to do our show. So yeah, it's a real life, like, problem.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I believe last week at some point the Hollywood Bowl. I'm not exactly sure what the Hollywood Bowl even is, but John Williams was there and he had an orchestra there.
Hollywood Bowl is incredible.
What is it?
It's like the amphitheater in Tinley Park.
Okay.
But it's like fancy and in LA and built for the best acoustics of all time. But it's an outdoor, like, facility like the amphitheater.
Oh, wonderful. Well, then that explains why.
A lot of famous, since it's in Hollywood, they'll have a lot of, like, famous composers or famous soundtracks go through there and put on concerts instead of, like, your normal people playing there. But, like, they have regular concerts there too, but you also get that Hollywood swag of, like, hey, today a composer's here. Yeah, I've been there. I went on a trip to LA once for school. And it was part of our trip to see Vince Gill there, which like, I was at 17, didn't know who the fuck Vince Gill was. It was incredible. Like, it's an incredible.
Well, I guess that explains a little bit for the story. So John Williams was there last week, and he debuted one of the themes. It's called Helena's Theme from Indiana Jones 5, and I listened to it, and it's very nice. It's beautiful. And I was kind of flabbergasted by it because not that I expected less from John Williams. He's an amazing composer. Mm-hmm. But for something that I'm not excited for, being Indiana Jones 5, you know, my first thoughts are like, Harrison Ford's fucking old. I don't want to see his old ass on screen doing these things. Like, I get the nostalgia of it, but you have the fight of Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls working. Yeah. That was your previous film. Like, oh man. But then I looked more up about this, and I didn't know that James Mangold is going to be directing this. So for people who don't know, James Mangold directed 3:10 to Yuma, one of Tyler's favorites, Logan, and he directed Ford vs. Ferrari. So it's like, okay.
All three of those are top movies. They're very good movies.
So now it's kind of rejuvenated how I feel about, you know what, Indiana Jones 5 might be a fucking killer movie.
Maybe.
But he debuted Helena's Theme, who's a character he mentioned, but it made me excited for this now because I searched James Mangold and I was like, oh shit, he's behind it. I might be on board with this now.
The game, which I mentioned before, Disney Dreamlight Valley came out, which is basically like Animal Crossings and Sims meet Disney. You do missions for Disney characters, build your little Disney village up. It looks really cool. Lauren's currently streaming it right now, so I'm going to end up watching the video when I'm done with here just to see what it's about and all that. But it's getting really, really good reviews.
I used to live, excuse me, oh my God, I used to live on Sims, so I'd be all about
that.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. It looks like Animal Crossing meets Sim, just like kind of casual, but mission. It's a weird concept, but
it's like Sims with goals.
Correct. It's like that's how I explained it with Lauren. I was like, to me, it feels like Sims with like more missions and RPG tactics of like have to go get some wood to build this thing, like that kind of thing.
Life fulfillment.
But you're dealing with all these different realms of Disney characters, kind of like Kingdom Hearts almost in a way. And they just announced at the Disney thing today that there's going to be a Toy Story expansion later this year. So it's getting really, really good reviews. I don't know if I'm going to end up playing it because I don't even know if there's achievements for it, but check out Ma Volcano. That's Lauren's Twitch, so she's streaming it. Like I said, it's brand new. So
on the note of that D23, the Disney Expo that's going on right now, I'm going to jump to trailers, and I'll begin with the ones that they were just released today. One of them, as soon as you walked in the house, I was like, we got to go over this one because it's got water in it, and it's The Little Mermaid debuted their teaser trailer for it, and it's very simple. It's just water and some kind of teasing shots of seeing Ariel in full scale, and then you get to see her sing Part of Your World. How'd you feel about this?
I thought the water actually looked kind of good, looked okay, and the underwater seemed like the flowing of it where I really liked how her hair wasn't crazy underwater hair, like in Aquaman and stuff.
was about to bring up.
It gets a little crazy where you're like, okay, we get it, they're underwater. This seems much more grounded, even though in reality it would be a lot more crazy.
Yeah.
But it works. It's something I don't need. The note I made to you was it looks dark.
Yeah.
I'm expecting, Little Mermaid, and I guess it makes sense. Like she's kind of in a cave, like
Yeah.
you think of the Treasure Cove and all
She's
that.
at the
you're
bottom
like,
of the ocean. Like, it makes sense.
it makes sense, but it's like it's also a Disney. It just feels like
It's weird, but realistically, yeah, it would be like damn near pitch black
yeah.
down
So,
there.
but again, this could just be when they get to the bright parts, they could be really vibrant. I
Yeah.
don't
When they're
it's
singing-
When
such
they
a
get to like a coral reef or something.
Correct.
Like
when they're
that,
singing
yeah.
Under the Sea, it's probably going to be super bright.
correct, but it's just from the trailer and what we saw, I was like, oh well, this kind of looks dark, but at the same time, like the CGI fish look great.
Yeah, the
I think
turtle and
I
shit.
think the
turtle
turtles look
comes right
great.
through.
The fish look great. You see like a back end of flounder. You don't really see them,
Yeah.
but you can tell like, oh, that's flounder. So I'm
Yeah.
down. That's fine with me.
I'm excited to see it as well. I didn't even know that we were going to be getting a teaser for it today, so I was super excited that we watched it with the girls, and I think they were just ready for beds because they didn't really express any kind of interest in it or dislike of it.
They were silent once we pressed play. They were like, I know what this is. But
Yeah, but that comes out May 2023. I was going to say
2023,
23rd, May 2023. So we're definitely going to be seeing that. And the other trailer that they debuted was Disenchanted. So this is the sequel to the movie Enchanted. I can't even remember what year Enchanted came out.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a hot minute, but this has a nice twist to it where Giselle's the main character played by Amy Adams.
2007,
Damn, yeah.
That's a long time ago.
right?
So
High school.
Giselle, who's played by Amy Adams, makes a wish. I'm not sure what she makes the wish to, but she makes a wish and it comes true to
She
be
wished
more
for
of a
her life
fairy.
to be a
fairy tale, but unfortunately it gets twisted in a way where now she is the evil stepmother, which is a cool element to bring to it because she's our hero. But that's coming out Thanksgiving, and the trailer was good. I'm excited to see it.
A lot of my news now is going to be video game related, specifically from like Disney and Marvel properties because of the Disney thing going on right now. They announced all their video game stuff. We finally got a new release date for Midnight Suns.
Oh, okay.
December 2nd, 2022.
So it's not canceled.
So not
As of
canceled.
now.
Yeah,
As of now.
not canceled, and it's also supposed to be this year, which sucks that it got pushed from being, we're less than a month out. Realistically, it was the first week of October, I think, the original release date, to now December. So I can live with that. Let's hope that's where it stays.
Let's hope they pushed it back because of reasons of,
Correct.
oh, you know what? We need to make this a little bit better.
So I'm hoping for that, and I'll squeeze another one in here
Yeah.
since they all kind of just roll together. They announced an untitled Black Panther Captain America game that's set in World War II.
I saw a picture for it, but I want to read it because I knew you'd bring it up.
There's a trailer, but the trailer's just kind of like music and kind of talking, but nothing about really something specific, but a lot of old school type shots, and then they just flash like the shield dramatically and like some Black Panther stuff. There's like nothing that gives away what type of game it is, when it's coming out. They don't even have a title for it. But it seems like they're trying to like hype this shit up a little bit. So
I guess it's kind of cool because Steve Rogers was around during that time, and it's definitely not going to be. I hope it's not T'Challa because that wouldn't make any fucking sense.
No,
It'll
but
be-
the
it'll be
Black Panther's
T'Chaka.
supposed to
It'll be
be-
his dad, T'Chaka.
correct. It's been a hero that's throughout all
Generations,
lineages
yeah.
and
I don't even know if
generations,
it'd be
so.
T'Chaka.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
I think
I
it'd
mean,
That'd be
you do
more
have
like
to
his
T'Chaka.
grandpa.
Either way, it works, but there's not much information. I just saw it and was like, that's a weird game that's coming out. I'm fine with it because for a long time they have not made superhero video games. They've been stingy with their properties. And so now that Disney's getting a hold of it, they're finally starting to get in the video game world. And I'm all for it because there's going to be a lot of stinkers, but there will be some really good ones that come out of it.
Give us an
So-
updated Marvel versus Capcom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see where that goes. It says it's supposed to be 2023.
Awesome.
We'll see.
Other trailers that I had here: Glass Onion.
Yep.
So this is the sequel to Knives Out, which was a wonderful movie.
I like Knives
I
Out.
really liked it. I thought the cast was great. I thought the direction was awesome. It's really one of the only films that I really have liked Daniel Craig in. I know that
I'm a
when
big
you
Bond,
when you
Daniel
first
Craig
came on, we were talking about
Bond
Bond,
guy, yeah.
and you were telling me, you know what, don't sleep on Daniel Craig for too long. Give him another chance. So I want to go back and watch his portrayals of James Bond. But this one looks good. I'm excited for it. It looks like a good mystery.
Yeah.
And I like the cast of this new one.
It looks like it's got the humor of the first one too. So it's just, again, it's essentially, it's got that Clue vibe.
Yeah.
Where it's, the characters
Whodunit.
have fun. Whodunit. They're dramatic type characters, eccentric. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun. We'll see Batista do some stupid cool shit.
Yeah.
You know. So
I'm excited for
ready.
Catherine Hahn and Edward Norton's in it, and
it's a
Leslie Odom Jr. Like, it
star-studded
looks
cast,
fucking
so.
awesome. But yeah, that's set to come out in November, and that's going to be a Netflix release. So we're going to be getting some
nice.
cool content. Yeah. And then the other trailer I asked you to watch was The Good Nurse, which I had no idea this movie was coming out, what it was about. This is a movie about basically an evil nurse who goes around killing people, but I believe it said in the beginning of the trailer that it was
Based on a true story.
based on true events, and Eddie Redmayne plays the main nurse.
It's
who's
funny
like,
because him and Jessica Chastain look like they could be siblings.
I could see that.
That like
For
I was like, oh, I wonder if they're supposed to be siblings in this show. And then like you watch the show and you're like, oh, it's not. But I was like, damn, they kind of look like brother and sister.
And I didn't even recognize Eddie Redmayne at first, especially when he talks and he doesn't have his British accent. I was like, wow, look at that American accent. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, no,
But,
it looks good. It looks like it'll be a good watch.
So that comes out October 19th in theaters, and then October 26th on Netflix.
Two games that you can get involved with finally, Mr. Phone. They announced a Marvel World of Heroes, which is an AR game that's made by the company that makes Pokemon Go. So it's going to be some kind of like AR in the world. You walk around with your little map that you can do, and you have powers and can fight other things that appear on your phone or something. So it's just like Pokemon Go. You walk around and you can find Pokemon and catch them and shit like that with your phone. It's going to be the same thing, but some kind of power superhero Marvel-themed version.
Okay.
Not much about it, but it's coming, so...
Cool. That
We'll
was
see.
another D23 announcement?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. Yeah, it's called Marvel World of Heroes. And then the other one is called Marvel Snap, which is for the PC and the phone. It comes out October 18th. You can sign up now. I think it's like marvelsnap.com or something like that. But it's a card type game. So there's a lot of games like Hearthstone and you know, even back in the day, Pokemon. You know, it's just a game of cards and abilities. And it's all Marvel superhero and villain related. So...
Okay.
I'm actually excited for that because I actually do I fucked with Hearthstone quite a bit and some other card type games, so I'm gonna be checking that out for sure.
And that's one Snap, you said?
Yeah, Marvel Snap is what it's called, and the trailer is actually a pretty good trailer. The Marvel World of Heroes didn't really have much information or trailers on it. Marvel Snap, since it comes out so soon, has a full blown like trailer and gameplay type thing. So you can look that up.
October 18th.
Yeah, and it says you can sign up now, and I'm sure if you sign up now, you get some special card or some shit, and since it's coming to the phone, usually that means it's free as well.
Cool.
So
fuck yeah. I do have this piece about the standing ovation that a lot of people have heard about recently, which is Darren Aronofsky's new film, The Whale. For people who don't know, Darren Aronofsky is a very acclaimed director. He directed Requiem for a Dream. Okay. The Wrestler, he did Black Swan, and he also did Noah. So he's a very acclaimed director. He's directed this new film called The Whale, and it stars Brendan Fraser and Sadie Sink. And Brendan Fraser plays a man who is 500 pounds and he's trying to reconnect with his daughter, and that's pretty much the gist of it. They just debuted it at the Venice Film Festival, and it got a 6-minute standing ovation for Brendan Fraser. And in this video, he's teared up, he's crying, he's like got his hands on his knees, bent over because he is so overwhelmed with this. And I text you about his comeback. Like, this is just amazing for Brendan Fraser.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, Brendan Fraser never lost it.
No.
He never lost it. He just stepped away and was doing his own thing, or you know, and there's lots of things
he was
that
battling
doing.
depression, he said.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that was going on. And then he also was saying, like, at one point I was like, okay, I've made a lot of money and all that. Like, there's been a lot of drama and all that, because he was one that came out during, like, the Me Too stuff that, like, said that he was abused and all that as well. And he was kind of like, I'm just going to live my life for a little bit. But now that he's come back, like, everyone's always loved him. Especially, like, our age. We grew up on The Mummy. We grew up with Tarzan. Like, we grew up with him in his peak.
George
where
of the Jungle. Come on.
Or, not Tarzan. George of the Jungle. But, yeah, like, he was the dude. You know?
He was
like,
in
I
everything.
fuck with Bedazzled, bro. Or is it
Bedazzled
or Bedazzled?
No, Bedazzled.
Yeah, Bedazzled. Great movie to me, you know?
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past, yeah, it was an amazing movie.
It's much deserving. Plus, though, if you know Darren Aronofsky and his movies are like mental torture. Like, they're deep, usually not very happy movies.
Black
so I'm
Swan,
sure.
Black Swan.
Yeah, Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah,
you want to go do
absolutely.
drugs, kid? Go watch that movie first, and then tell me you want to do drugs.
Yep.
Like, that shit. it's, I'm sure, hell to film, but very gratifying. So I'm sure it's just that whole release of like all that hard work and torment, so to say, pays off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so it's great to see. I hope it leads to more things. It's also funny because it's like, of course, Brendan Fraser's about to be an Oscar-winning actor, and Batgirl got scrapped when we could have got him his return as like a supervillain.
It's okay.
You know?
Maybe we'll get something better one.
Correct.
He's going to be in
and I agree, but
Scorsese's
it's just,
new movie.
it's just,
He's casting Scorsese, so
DC
it's like,
can't
damn.
win. DC just they can't
They can't.
they can't help themselves or get out of the way. So, but yeah, I was very happy for him because I've always been a big Brendan Fraser
Yeah,
fan.
I teared up watching. Oh, Crash is amazing too. Yeah, I teared up watching the video.
It's got a great IMDb. That's for sure.
I'd like to hang out with him.
Oh yeah, that's what everyone says too. He's like a sweetheart. He's just a normal
guy.
awesome, genuine guy. My last little game and nerd news information: they're remaking and remastering the old '90s Gargoyles game. Yeah, the platform game. They're redoing it, and they said they're going to kind of. I have a feeling it's going to be like what they did with Shredder's Revenge for TMNT.
Okay.
Where it's going to be very old school feeling, but still a new kind of spin on the game a little bit. Not much information on it. Is coming to console and PC, but it's currently being worked on, and they have high hopes for it. So I'm pumped because
They also have a comic book coming out for Gargoyles that I kept it out of new nerd news a few weeks back, but there's a new
I feel
comic
like
coming
I've
out for
heard
it.
more and more rumblings of Gargoyles this and Gargoyles that, where I feel like now that they've dipped into so many different IPs, they're starting to like really look into like, okay, what worked back then? What was the popular stuff? And Gargoyles is like one of those.
Everybody
that's
watched
like,
Gargoyles.
Correct. So
I think 2 years ago, Jordan Peele put out there that he was interested in doing a live action Gargoyles.
There's a lot of that
which would
talk.
be super hard to do. I feel like you'd need the right story from that series, but doable for sure.
yeah. So I'll be playing it. I'm down for anything Gargoyles. I'm here for it.
I have two more pieces here. So my first one is Cobra Kai streaming news. Cobra Kai season 5 is out now on Netflix. So if you guys want to get a hold of that. My last piece here is, I'm not sure if you heard this news about the Joker's real name. So this is from a comic book called Flashpoint Beyond, and this is a 6-comic run, and in issue 5, Thomas Wayne has Martha Wayne captured, and he's kind of interrogating her about what she's doing in Gotham, and she uses it as a bullet against Thomas Wayne of like, well, if you do this, you're never going to find out who the Joker is. And he's like, you're the Joker. What are you talking about? And she says, no, I was interrogating Psycho Pirate, asking him about Earth Zero, where our son is from, because he has a Joker as well. And when I asked him before I killed him, he told me that the Joker's real name is Jack Oswald White. And it doesn't carry much weight in the comic book. It's more for the readers to say, holy shit, the Joker that we've known forever finally has a name, which they've given us names here and there.
Exactly.
But this is a little more set in stone, I feel, because it wasn't like a separate story. It's directly tying into Earth Zero, which is where our Bruce Wayne is at, that we've known and loved for 50 fucking years.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also, if you're not reading this Flashpoint comment, you have no idea about this. That's the other thing, is like,
they're doing a lot
for a long time, Joker's name was Jack Napier.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Because of what happens in this comic and in the fucking Batman 89 and shit like that. So you know what I mean? It's like, I think the Joker at the end of the day will always remain nameless in a sense. Mm-hmm. There'll always be people that are trying to give him a name or whatever, but I think at the end of the day too, and I'm just a Joker stan too.
Yeah.
The character plays better when it's always mysterious. To never know an actual name of him, for me, that's part of the Joker's game.
Yeah.
And everyone thinking they know who he is. That's why like 3 Jokers and shit like that shit works when there is like multiple Jokers, because it's now this idea of an identity and not so much the man. So yeah, I saw that and people losing their mind, but like, I'm a firm.
They were.
People were losing their mind. I'm a firm. Don't really like a name for Joker guy because we've gone this far, and if we are going to give him a name, it'll always be Jack Napier to me.
Okay.
So like, until this becomes synonymous with every time I see Joker, and I have to like actually accept that, it's a cool line in a story in a comic book for now for me.
I'm pretty sure the White Stripes is pretty excited to see. Oh
That
my
dude
God,
looks like the Joker.
His name is Jack White. Oh no way!
Sue him.
But that was my last piece of nerd news. We're going to get into Warrior now. So Warrior was made in 2011, and it is directed by Gavin O'Connor. And a lot of people probably don't know that name because I didn't know that name. And he directed the movie Miracle, he directed The Accountant, and he directed The Way Back, or his big three. I haven't seen The Accountant or The Way Back.
I've seen The Accountant.
And I've heard good things about The Accountant. I've heard great things about The Way Back. But I did really like Miracle as well.
Mm-hmm.
He is also in the movie. We'll get to that when we get to it. This movie has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 92% on the audience scale. I was shocked by this.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd be that high just because I don't think, like, I come across, this is one of those movies I suggest to everyone, and a lot of people are like, I've never heard of that movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those, like, a lot of people have, like, just missed it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, it's a good movie, man. It's in a
is.
lot
really
of
is.
different ways.
Wonderful.
So I'm surprised by that score, but I'm happy it's there because it should be ranked higher than like a fucking Doctor Strange. Like
Absolutely.
it should be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And we see those get in the 70s and 80s nowadays. Like this shit. If you're gonna make the scale that high, then this should be in the 90s.
Which is good considering that this movie came out in 2011, like I said.
True.
So it's already gotten 11, 12 years of
watchability.
Yeah, and opinions
ratings
and all that
and
shit.
reviews
Yeah.
and shit. This movie did have a $25 million budget, and to date, it's only grossed $24 million.
Damn.
Which is
so it's
another incredible. Like
definitely.
I wouldn't say it bombed. It almost made his money back, but it didn't bomb.
Yeah, but look how long it
Yeah,
takes.
that's the thing. It probably is a bomb because it depends on how much money it made right away. That determines if it's a bomb or not. Because if you haven't even made your money back and it's been 10 years, that's tough.
Which is another incredible point to say that, Nick Nolte was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. It's kind of a big deal.
Crazy. I mean, that's where you can tell that's where a lot of their budget went was the cast.
The cast, absolutely. And there's a lot of things to be said about this movie.
Stunts and stuff like that too, but
they word it so nicely when you Googled it bomb. It said the film didn't work out at the box office.
yeah, I saw it in theaters. I remember seeing it in theaters.
Yes. So that was the next thing I was going to ask was first impressions. So I remember around the time when I first met you, because this was 2011. This was around the time when I first met you. And you had messaged me on Facebook because you and I were always talking about movies. Mm-hmm. You'd messaged me on Facebook and you said, "Don't know if you've seen this yet, but you got to watch Warrior. It's one of the best films that I've seen in a long time." Something around those lines. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't know if I'm going to get to it this week. I'm seeing two movies back to back. I was seeing Contagion and 50-50 at the time. So I was like, I'm not going to see it this week. And then I messaged you in April of 2012 and I said, finally saw it. And incredible. And we had a small conversation about it, but it was one of those things. And it's funny because you could look on our Facebook friendship and see that whole interaction.
That's funny.
But yeah, first impression, obviously you liked it because you...
Yeah, I went and saw it in college. It was like either my freshman or sophomore year with my roommate Jordan. And I remember like this one of the movies, first time in a long time, like I cried. And I was just like, this thing hit me and I don't know. Like this movie was bulletproof for me. It just felt, I don't know. I loved the action. I loved the drama. And I was in college. So it was all like about, deep performances and all that, like, turmoil type bullshit that you think that, acting's all about. And this was my true introduction to like Tom Hardy really too. Cause you get him in like, Inception and stuff like that, but he's, in Bronson, things like that. So I knew him, but this was my first of like, holy shit, this dude is like, I love this guy. Yeah. And then Nick Nolte, like, it's just one of those casts that this movie, I love this movie.
Yes.
From the moment I saw it.
I want to say, obviously I saw it in April 2012, and I remember thinking, holy shit, this movie is kind of promoted as... I actually don't remember much of the promotion for this movie at all. And, obviously from the budget and everything and what it's made, it probably didn't have much promotion at all.
I don't know. I don't remember it at all.
But I know that going into it, I was like, okay, I'm going to watch an MMA movie. That's all I'm really getting out of this. And you're getting so much more. Like you had said, the performances in this movie are fucking fantastic.
It's like MMA is what they had to base the story around to give you like the ground of like, okay, this is an MMA movie. But it has, like, fuck all to do with MMA at the end of the day. And that's what's great about this movie.
Absolutely.
It's a family drama movie, essentially.
It really is. One of the things, or some of the things that I want to talk about before we get into the breakdown of the movie is, so the cinematography in this movie, I really enjoyed. The guy's name, I'm going to butcher it. Masanobu Takayanagi did this. He did the cinematography for Silver Linings Playbook. He did The Gray, and he did Out of the Furnace, are just a few of his films. Loved
All pretty good ones.
all very good movies.
Yeah.
And, especially The Gray, I know is one of those ones that I look at. I'm like, wow, the cinematography in this, I really appreciated. But I loved this. There's a lot of shots. There's a lot of longer shots that are held that don't need to be held as long as they do. But when they do, you really appreciate what the actors did to to hold that emotion a few frames longer to get it across.
It's a lot of the drama is very long and slow shots, and then a lot of the action is super fast, super camera movement type shots to make like the punches and all of the like motion going on feel like it's happening. So it's a lot of, you go from a real slow paced, slow burn thing to like chaos in a couple seconds or a minute or so. And it's a really good way, an interesting setup of like the pacing throughout the entire film that just builds and builds and builds until you get to the final big thing.
Yeah. And then the other thing is the music. Fucking love the music.
Good music.
So Mark Isham did this music. He did the score for Crash, The Mist, Blade, The Crazies, and Judah and the Black Messiah. But I love the score in this. We were talking about the song that's mixed with Ode to Joy, like how it's not just an old school Beethoven Ode to Joy. Like it's got some beats to it. It's got some really good tones, and it's just fantastic. He did a good job.
It's a good blend.
Yep.
And then the other thing is the editors. I really like the editing in this movie, especially in that montage scene where we're seeing
It has
Ode to
some.
Joy.
It has some. All fighting movies need a montage because that's just Rocky set that precedent. This one does a couple really interesting ones that the montages don't feel so like they're like, okay, we get you're doing a fighting montage, but that's an interesting way of doing it or cutting that together or showing. That's the best thing about this movie is there's two brothers, so they can show two sides of everything at all times, and they do a lot during the training of showing like, okay, this is how Tommy's doing it, this is how Brendan's doing it. It's like that's cool.
Very enjoyable. And then the choreography. So I mean, you don't get much choreography until you get to the last quarter of the film or last half of the film, really. And this mashes with cinematography as well. Like what they had to have gone through to get this like it's not just a boxing movie where they're walking back and forth. They got to time their punches, for the cinematographer and everything.
Knees, elbows, grapples,
running in the cages and shit. So I really appreciate what they did to make this film.
Yeah, and I've seen interviews with them where they said it was basically like 2-3 months of just like they got a crash course in like trying to learn how to fight, in that style. And they both commented how like it's very deceiving because you're learning from the best and you're learning choreography, but it's fighting choreography, right? So you're doing it, and all of a sudden you realize, or you start to feel like, in another life, I could have been pretty good at this. And then he's like, and then all of a sudden you get tagged, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm a fucking actor. Like, he's like, but that shit happens. But both of them sustained pretty significant injuries from filming this.
I bet.
Joel Egerton tore his MCL.
Ooh.
Which that's a huge
That's
injury.
a big one.
And then I know Tom Hardy broke a toe or two, and then he also had I think broken ribs at one point or something like that. So they both went through hell.
Wow.
To film this, and you can tell because it's like, how do you film that without having some bumps and bruises around the way? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean it shows because Tom Hardy now was just seen a couple weeks ago, and I should have brought that. Oh, it would have been the perfect fucking tie-in to
segue.
He was just in a fucking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai tournament.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Competing like a normal dude in this tournament. So it's obviously the fighting, he enjoys that. So it probably wasn't too hard for them. But yeah, you get reminded real quick, where actors learn kind of learning an aggressive dance and not actually fighting.
That hurt.
Yeah.
That hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a funny video because they're like, you step up to the mat and Bane's standing in front of you. What do you do? It's like, fucking turn around and walk the other way. Be like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. Yeah, those are the main points that I wanted to hit before we get into this breakdown. I don't know if there's anything else you guys wanted to mention before we get started talking about this.
No, I'm good.
No?
You want to go through awards? No? Later?
No, I guess the main part did they win anything? What did they win for?
They don't win for anything for Oscars.
Okay.
Nick Nolte is the only thing that they were at the Oscars for, nominated for,
thought.
was for him as an actor in supporting role, which I was surprised they didn't get anything for at least cinematography, sound mixing, something.
Well, the sound mixing was fucking awful. At least, I can't tell if they re-edited this movie or re-engineered the sound, but I know when I first watched this movie, the punches and the hits were so fucking loud, and then when somebody was talking, I had to
It's a
turn my
quiet
volume
movie.
up.
It's a very
But
quiet
when
movie.
we were just rewatching it a few days ago, everything was fine. I kept it the same volume. I was never like, oh, this is too loud, turn the shit down, and oh, what do they say? I can't even hear them. They're whispering. So so I could see why they didn't get nominated for sound, but maybe best original screenplay, I could see that.
Yeah, no, it was just Nick Nolte there. They won for like some other like random ones, but like prestigious Oscars, nah.
Okay.
Probably because it fucking flopped when it came out. That's
Yeah.
half the battle is making money to
Money.
get recognized like as great. That's the sad thing
Yeah.
about the Oscars.
Well,
Unless you're so indie that it's like, oh my god, this is what art is,
which is crazy because, like you had said, anybody that
Well,
you
shit,
read.
yeah, that's the same year that The Artist won for Best Picture, and it's
It's-
like, who the
you
fuck?
see what I'm
I didn't
saying?
go see that.
I
I still haven't
I've
seen
seen
it.
The Artist.
It's on my. I think I have it downloaded to watch it. I just haven't
Again,
watched it.
it's art. It's Oscar. That's like the most Oscar bait movie I've ever
It's
seen.
what the
Is
Oscars
that
are
what-
looking
yeah.
for. Yeah.
Correct.
But like you had said, anybody that you recommend this movie to, Warrior, you've never had somebody come back and be like, "Fuck
No,
that movie."
never.
It's everyone likes it, and I'm not saying that anyone has to come back and say, "Man, that was the greatest movie ever made." But for them to come back and say, "Wow, I can't believe I've never heard of this movie. This was fantastic. I want to know more," or anything around those lines. Was there a sequel? Like, no.
Yep.
But we're gonna get into this breakdown now, and this is I think it's 2 hours and.
It's longer than I remember. I hit the time code when I started it, and I was like, "Damn! I thought this was like an hour and a half movie. This is like 2 hours 20 minutes." Like,
Which is interesting because the pacing is
Damn.
great.
yeah, no, it doesn't feel like
I
it's
don't-
just a long movie.
It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. It
Yeah.
Oh,
says.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie begins with a Pittsburgh skyline. You hear church bells, and you see Patty, who's played by Nick Nolte, and he's walking out of a church. And it's kind of later in the day, so it wasn't a mess. You're kind of curious, but we'll get that answer later on. But he walks into his car and he starts listening to an audiobook of Moby Dick. When he pulls up to his house, it's nighttime now, and Tom Hardy plays Tommy Reardon, and he's sitting on the porch and he's drinking out of a bottle. He's got that classic fucking paper bag around the bottle. He's drinking. And Patty pulls up and he's shocked. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Tommy." And Tommy says, he was just passing through and he wanted to have a drink with his old man. He said he mentions that the car looks great. And he says, "Well, yeah, thanks." And he said, "Well, that's a man of his priorities, I guess." So kind of taking jabs at him right away.
Right away, you can
He-
tell there's
he
like,
wasn't drinking though.
Tom Hardy?
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yes,
yeah, he
he is.
was. Yeah, he is. He's drinking the whole time. Yeah, he is.
I thought he gave because he said never show up anywhere empty-handed. So I thought he
He's
bought
got-
that for
he's
him.
got
No,
one
he's
for
got
his,
a he's got a
empty
closed bottle
Yeah.
of Jameson, and then
that
he's got a
was for-
bottle in
okay.
a.
I was like, wait
Thanks
a
for
minute.
coming in,
pants.
Sam.
Yeah, jeez, go get more LASIK.
I will. I'm gonna see fucking.
Yeah, he's taking jabs at him.
There's a lot of contention right off the bat
Yeah.
where you can tell like he's sons, and there's even the comment of I think the Reardon comment happens there. It could be later, I don't know. But it's that clear of like, oh, you took your mother's name kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can tell that it's awkward for Patty because like he is a totally different dude than Tommy remembers.
Yeah.
So Tommy's expecting one thing and gets something completely different, and you can tell it kind of pisses Tommy off in a way because Tommy's like, he looks like an angry guy. Like he's sitting on the porch, like he just
Yeah.
this whole movie, Tom Hardy just broods this like
He's
animalistic
holding on
like.
to so much shit.
Yeah.
He is that meme that says all the flavors in the world and you choose to be salty. Like, that's him. This entire movie.
He is not. He's no bullshit. Like not fucking around.
No.
Not about it. And yeah, so it's a
He takes his jabs when he can, and it's very often.
very often, and that's what's great is like there's not a lot of huge dialogue, but there's little things that are said or little things that are done that explain, like you just see, oh,
Yeah.
this is how this relationship really was or is, and now this is where it's at. And it beautifully fills in the gaps of something we have no reference to.
You can paint
Yeah.
your own picture
Correct, yeah.
vividly.
Like,
Without,
Hardy has more lines than he does in Mad Max Fury Road, but not many more.
Correct, yeah. He's the king. I've said it many times. He's the king of making noises and saying monologues of dialogue. He grunts, and it's like, oh, he means this. Like, it's crazy, and he does it in this movie all the time.
Yes, and I think this is probably one of the best ones he does.
Yeah.
But he gives his dad a bottle. He hands it to him, and his dad, Patty, says, "Oh no, that's not for me." And Tommy looks at him and says, "Whoa, did you change brands?" And then it cuts to we get the title screen and it says Warrior. Mm-hmm. They walk into the house, and Tommy's walking through, and he notices a Bible on the table. So you're already seeing some different things that he's not jarring to him, but he's like, "Oh, look at that shit."
The camera hangs in the Bible long enough to know that Tommy's never seen a Bible in his house before, or growing up. You know, like it's just like, oh, okay, that's something that's never been around this house. Like, yeah.
So Tommy mentions that there's not a womanly touch around here.
Oh, man.
And
great line.
Yes. And Patty says, "Well, no woman for me." And Tommy responds with, "Well, it's kind of hard to find a woman to stick around to take a beating or something." Along those lines.
He says it's
hard to find a woman that'll take a
beating
punch
nowadays.
Take a punch. Yeah.
And it's just that, okay, his dad used to be abusive, obviously, and hit his mom and all that. So it's like it starts to fill in the gaps. And the sad thing is like when you meet Patty, he's like this sweet old dude. Like he's very like he's not like anytime Tommy makes these comments, like you can tell it's hurting him, but he's not fighting back at all. He's not giving Tommy any ammunition. Yeah. He eating it all because he knows that he fucked up.
His ass, yeah.
And he knows he fucked up, so he's eating all these comments because he knows he has them coming from his son.
Exactly.
And it's tough. It's every comment Tommy makes, you're like, oh, but at the same time, you're like, that guy used to be a prick, so he probably has it coming. But you're just in this like tug of war of like. This is some family. It's like watching family drama unfold in front of you when you're like the outsider of the family, where you're like, I'm not going to say a word. I just have to observe, and this thing's hopefully going to work itself out. That's what this moment really is in this intro scene.
And you get that in this next line as well, because he makes the comment of, it's kind of hard to find a woman that'll stick around that can take a punch. And he goes to give his dad the drink again, and he asks why he won't drink with him, and he says, "I've been sober for 1,000, or I'm coming up on 1,000 days sober now," which is kind of the answer that we get of why he was at that church at such a late hour. Like he's probably like leaving his AA meeting. He asked him when he gave him the bottle, he said, "What did you switch brands?" Like, my bad. Like,
and that's
Tommy,
when he says, come in the house.
Yeah, Tommy's expecting that kind of reaction, and he doesn't get it from him. So we know that we're getting a new.
Patty also mentions in there that it's been like 14 years at some point.
Yes, so Tommy looks at these pictures. He's looking at all. Yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry.
So Tommy's looking at these pictures, and he sees pictures of his brother, younger pictures of himself and his brother, and Patty tells him, that your brother's got 2 girls now. And Tommy kind of makes a comment, and he says, "Oh, well, glad to see you found God, I guess."
I have that written down. I have the whole line. Yeah.
Go ahead, say it.
So you found God now. That's awesome. See, Mom kept calling out for him, but he wasn't around. I guess Jesus was down at the mill forgiving all the drunks.
Yes.
It's like, oh, man.
Yeah, jab after jab. Like, he's fucking got him on fire. Like, he was writing this shit down on the way there. Like, I'm going to mention this, I'm going to mention this.
14 years of thinking of
pent up anger.
I have all the lines for my old man when I see him.
And he's got to be killing him that he's not getting the reaction that he thinks he was going to get.
He was going there for a fight.
Because, again, Patty fucking eats it. He just eats it, and it just, you can tell every time he says these things, it hurts him. But he just kind of takes it and keeps trying to go on with like, how you doing, Tommy? That kind of shit. And it's just like, oh, man, this is ugly.
It is. So Patty does mention that he goes, I hired somebody to find you guys, and all they found was that your mom had died and that you were in the Marines. Mm-hmm. And Patty apologizes, and you weren't expecting this at all, but he says, I'm sorry, Tommy. And Tommy ends it with one more jab.
Hits him one more time before he passes out from, like, because he pops pills right when he walks in the house, too. Yeah. So he's got pills, he's drinking, he's all fucked up. And, right before he passes out, he just gives him, "I think I liked you better when you were drunk." Yeah. It's like, no recovering alcoholic wants to hear that.
No,
so,
absolutely not.
And then he just passes out in the chair that he's, like, sitting in.
We jump to our next scene, which is the next day. It's a kid's birthday party. We're introduced to Brendan, who is played by Joel Edgerton, and it's a kid's birthday party. It's his kid's birthday party, and he's fucking ultimate dad. He's getting his face painted. He's wearing a dress, and he's like, "Oh, mommy, I think daddy's a princess now." And the wife comments, like, "Oh, it's time for presents or whatever." And he gets his daughter all excited. They're opening presents, and the wife makes this comment. His wife, Tess, I'm going to say Tess, she makes a comment about how big the box is, and he goes, "Oh, it's her birthday," and she mentions that a budget is called a budget because you set the budget, you set the number, and you don't budge.
Yeah, hinting, hey, money's tight.
Money's tight, exactly. And it jumps to the next scene, which is his wife, and she's dressed, and she's going to work. She's getting ready for work, and Brendan's working out in the garage, and he says, be careful for those guys. If the guys get rowdy.
Seems like she's like a bartender or something like that.
Yeah, she's dressed not scantily,
but
little
black
dressed.
She works as a bartender at some kind of club.
She's dressing to get the tips.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, why would I call you so you can get your ass beat like last time?"
Yeah, because Brendan has a cut.
Yeah, he's got a cut or a bruise or something's on his face that was done maliciously.
Yeah, because when she mentioned that call, you can kind of get the hints that he's like Brendan also like bounces, like he's a bouncer.
Yeah.
At a bar somewhere. That's what he's so he gets roughed up every now and then at a college.
Yeah,
they call it the kids from Temple, so I'm guessing Temple's in Pittsburgh somewhere. I don't know.
So she goes to work, Brendan's still working out, and we jump to our next scene, which is Tommy, and he's jogging to a gym. And when he gets to the gym, he's there to sign up. And we see the guy behind the counters watching TV, and we're introduced to this guy getting interviewed, and his name is JJ. JJ's played by our director, which I already threw my sheet down. I can't remember his name. Gavin O'Connor. So Gavin O'Connor is JJ, and he's the guy who set up this tournament that's called Sparta. And Sparta is what they compare it to as the Super Bowl of MMA. And he has spotted $5 million of his own money to whoever wins this tournament, and it's basically the fucking best of the best of MMA fighting.
Yeah, and there's no weight classes, none of that bullshit. It's the best of the best. Everyone fights, one guy wins.
Exactly.
So the ultimate tournament.
So we jump to our next scene, and it's at a high school, and we find out that Brendan is actually a physics teacher. And he's a fucking cool one at that.
He's the cool teacher.
He's mingling with the kids, making jokes.
He's teaching physics by letting, I don't want to say the bad kids in class, but the kids that probably wouldn't be the teacher's favorites, he's letting them swing bats and break things to prove physics. So he's like that teacher who's cool with all the kids and can explain and teach them, how we all wanted. Everyone knows this teacher in high school,
Exactly.
And they're usually science teachers, ironically, I feel like. Science teachers always are the ones that have the cool shit and can kind of break
they do cool shit.
They
no one's going to be
volcano.
like, fucking math class ain't going to let you hit anything with a bat, so fuck those math teachers.
I don't know. I had a cool math teacher. He had Star Wars shit all over his room.
Yeah, you were a fucking nerd, though.
Yeah, it was.
But he's making comments, he catches a kid texting, but he doesn't get her in trouble.
Correct.
And then he's talking about Newton's law, and he goes, "Well, how many laws does dude got?" And he's like, "Dude is Newton, and he's got 3 of them." Yeah. So he's that cool teacher.
And they call him Mr. C, so they don't even call him by his actual last
Brendan
name.
Conlon
it's
is his
very, name. Very casual. He's the cool teacher in the school.
Yeah. We jump back to Tommy. He's at the gym and he's training. He's just punching away at the bag, and in the background we see that there is a fight going on in the ring, and it's with this dude. His name is Mad Dog. He's
Mad Dog Grimes.
Yes, he's typical. I don't know. I wouldn't say typical because I don't watch MMA.
No, they want you.
He's looking like a badass.
They want you to if you close your eyes and say, "What is a UFC fighter to you?" That's him. They basically make him look like Chuck Liddell. They're like, "We're gonna give you a mohawk,
absolutely,
and we're gonna give you just this attitude that you're this dickhead, testosterone pumped fighter, and he's that guy." And he's a fucking asshole. When you spar, you fight for real, but you're also not supposed to knock out your fucking sparring partner. Yeah. It's you're not supposed to hurt the guy, and he just demolishes his fucking sparring partner after his coach is yelling at him "Hey man, let up," and he just keeps going and just knocks the fucking dude out.
He's trying to just intimidate everybody.
He's the big dick in the gym.
Yeah, he wants to know everybody in the gym to know "Hey, look at me.
This is my gym," basically. Yep. And right away the the trainer's like, we need another fighter. Call so and so. If he's here within 10 minutes, I'll give him $200 because we need a new sparring partner for Mad Dog.
That's right. Brandon pulls up to the ring, and he goes, Tommy. Yeah, sorry. I'm an idiot. I wrote Brandon.
Totally different. Totally different.
Fuck, man.
No.
So far. Yes. No, Tommy pulls up to the ring, and he's like, hey, if you want, I'll step in.
I'll keep your boy warm.
I'll fight him.
Yeah, so...
He's super polite about it. Yeah. That's the funniest part.
He not mumbles, but he just...
Well, Tom Hardy talks the same way in all things.
He's very soft-spoken what he's doing.
I'll fight him.
Yeah.
And he tries to walk away because they're like, you're going to get fucking hurt. Like, we don't need you're just some random dude in the gym.
Yeah.
This is a killing machine ranked fighter. And he walks away, and then Mad Dog says, like something about Rocky. He gives him, like, a Rocky comment. He says, like, you leave... Mick at home, the trainer. He's like, what's wrong, Rock? You leave Mick at home. And that's when Tom Hardy turns around and he goes right back to the owner, and he's just like, look, you don't have a fighter, like, I'll keep him warm, don't worry. And the trainer's like, if you get fucking tuned up in there, that's on you. Like, and he's like, I'm fine.
He's like, you fought before, yep.
Yeah, you fight before, and Tommy just nods his head yes, and they go, they check he's got a waiver. The guy's like, yeah, he's got a waiver signed. He's like, all right, good luck. And then Tommy gets in the fucking ring.
Yeah, they ring the bell and they get started, and Mad Dog kind of takes a jab at him, and Tommy deflects it. So kind of showing Mad Dog that, okay, he does have some type. He's not just the guy hitting the punching bag because he's there for a hobby. Yeah. He might know this shit a little bit more than he thought he did. And Mad Dog takes swing at him, and fucking Tommy just rocks his ass.
He turns into an animal in the flip of a switch. He hits him, and then he just gets on top of him. He's throwing him like into the road. It's a bad sight real quick for Mad Dog, and Mad Dog's just out fucking cold. Dude. Hanging in the ropes in dramatic fashion, just like fucked up.
Yeah.
Tommy turns to the trainer and says, "You owe me $200," and then just walks the fuck out of the gym. Like, it's like, oh my god, he just hustled in a fucking fighting gym.
Yeah.
Like,
and the coach is like, what shook? He's like, what the fuck just happened? And we learned that during that entire fight, it was actually being recorded by a dude on his phone. Yep. So this is going to show up somewhere down the line.
Correct.
We jump to Brendan, and Brendan is at a bank. He's trying to get a loan, and the banker's just like, this guy's always a bad guy in all of his movies. I can't remember his name. He's always a bad guy.
I know him as the best friend in The Truman Show.
Okay,
that's what I think of him as, and he's a good guy in that, in a way. But he's in the Good Nurse. I think I saw him in.
He is in that trailer. Yeah, absolutely he is.
Good for him.
But
he's still kicking.
Good for him, dude.
But he's getting turned away from getting this loan, and the banker just says, you guys refinanced twice, and Brandon says, well, yeah, that's because you suggested that we do that.
You advised me to.
Yeah, and he goes, well,
it's like a typical fucking scumbag. He goes, well, I just offered you an option and you took it.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, bro.
Yeah. So he says, I don't know why you guys need to do this. It's because your daughter's medical bills. And he goes, yeah, my daughter had heart problems, and which is something new that you're learning. You're like, okay, well, this is why
they have money problems.
They had a budget. That's why they have their issues, is because his daughter had a problem with her heart. That's a
serious medical issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he mentions that between him and his wife, they both have 3 jobs, and this is when the banker says, well, it's either bankruptcy or foreclosure on the house. Mm-hmm. You make the pick. And we jump back to Patty at the house, and Patty's eating dinner. He's watching these old videos of Tommy fighting as a kid, just
wrestling, like high school wrestling videos.
He's reminiscing, and the doorbell rings. And when he answers the door, it's the coach that watched Tommy beat Mad Dog's ass. It's Coach Colt.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but in those videos, the announcers are talking about how Tommy's like a phenom for his age, and that he's inspired by this Greek god of a fighter. I can't remember his real name, that like won 5,000 matches undefeated, and like he was trying to be that. And they also explain how Patty was an ex-Marine and is his trainer and all that. So you get that little snippet of like Tommy's been this stud wrestler or fighter his entire fucking life, and that's all he's been training. He was training for it. Yeah, so you just get that little snippet of like, oh, Patty and Tommy go way, like he was that dad. Like everyone knows the baseball dad. Mm-hmm. That's like the dad that wants his son to go pro, and he's a fucking dickhead to everybody and his son because he wants him to get to that level.
Yeah.
You get those vibes very quickly, like, oh, back when Patty was drinking and beating his wife, he probably wasn't the nicest, like, fucking wrestling coach to have.
No,
either.
yeah, for
So,
sure.
It's a little quick thing, but
No,
it's
that's
something
good.
that's important that kind of comes up.
I don't even think I caught that in all the times that I've watched this movie. So
Yeah.
wonderful. Good to know. Patty answers the door, and it's Coach Colt, and he's asking about Tommy, and he goes, Tommy doesn't tell me anything. I'm sorry. And he goes, well, he put this address down, so I just came here to get some information. I'm sorry to interrupt you in your busy night. Basically, he's kind of a dick about it.
I hate this fucking boxing guy. I hate him.
The coach?
Yeah, he's just
Okay.
like a scumbag boxing. He's one of those dudes.
Well, he's looking out for number one, man.
Yeah,
He's cares
no,
about
and
himself.
I
Yeah.
agree. But I do love that Patty gives zero information.
Yeah,
it's like a don't rat on your boys situation. Like he doesn't
is
know if
very
Tommy's
much
in
so.
trouble or anything, and he's very much like,
I'm not gonna tell you. Yeah.
If it involves Tommy, you have to ask Tommy. Sorry, bro. It's really cool moment when Tommy's been an asshole the entire time we've seen him so far.
Absolutely, because this is, it does give off that vibe of like I'm not ratting out my boy, but it also boils down to, Patty just got his son back and he wants to rekindle that relationship.
Yes.
I can't fuck it up by
Correct.
telling
And
this
he's
guy
got
anything.
years of shit to make
Correct.
up for.
Yeah,
Correct.
so
Like,
it's good. He's looking out for himself and he's looking out for Tommy as well.
And the boxing trainer guy does mention that I'm looking for him because Tommy just put a beat down on the number one middleweight in the world. So Mad Dog's not just the guy at that gym. He's actually like this acclaimed fucking MMA fighter that Tommy took out in maybe 5 seconds. So it's just one of those things of like, oh shit, like Tommy's the real deal.
Yep. And Patty also in that moment learns Tommy could still fight.
Yeah.
This
Oh,
isn't
yeah,
something that he left
100%.
behind 14 years ago.
Not shocked at all either though when it happens. He's just
No.
like, okay, like he knows his boy.
So
he was a prodigy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we pull to the next, we go to the next scene, and Brandon is pulling into a bar, and he's talking to his wife, and he's giving out, he's like, oh, I'm pulling up, and, I'm going to bounce, and as a bouncer.
It's going to be a quiet night, all that shit.
Yes, he's giving her the spiel of, it's going to be a fine night, don't worry, I'll see you when I get home. But we learn that he's actually there to fight. He's there to MMA fight with these amateur MMA fighters.
Yeah, it's like in the parking lot of a strip club. Like
Yes.
it's just a thrown together parking lot backyard
Yeah.
MMA type deal.
Yep. So he does this fight and he takes hits. He's not like Tommy. He's not a fighter like Tommy where Tommy's a fucking powerhouse just coming in and knocking the fuck out of everybody. He takes a few hits, he trades blows. He's more strategic and calculated with what he's doing. And
He does
waits,
defense.
Yes, he's
He
waiting
does-
for his opening.
He does a lot of he's more of a ground fighter too. Like he does more like wrestling, takedown submission type shit where Tommy goes in and tries to like knock people's heads off. At least at this point still, up to
Yeah.
this point. Whereas Brendan right away you figure out like, oh, Brendan is actually a good fighter, but he's not like I'm gonna knock you out in one punch. Like Brendan gets hit quite a bit in the first match, but then once he kind of figures out the guy, it's a done deal. He wraps him up and taps him out. It's over.
Yes. So he does win this match, and he the guy who's running this or got his money up for the winner, he says, 2 more fights like that, and you take home the bacon, is what he says to him. So we jump to Brendan getting home now, and he's undressing, and he's moving slow through the house, and his wife Tess wakes up, and she comes into the bathroom where he's at, and you see that his face is fucked.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Like he's got cuts, he's got bruises, he's got black eye.
Big black eye.
And he tells her, I'm not bouncing at the clubs. And he hands her a wad of cash, and she knows exactly what he's been doing. Like this is something that
This is
he's
something
done before.
they've had many arguments and conversations about of him and fighting for money or fighting in these kind of events or whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, it's that idea of like, oh, this is something that is very rocky in their relationship and has been probably for most of it.
And this is when he tells her that, I went to the bank and we're going to get kicked out. We're going to lose the fucking house. And she says she doesn't care. I'd rather see my husband at home with my kids than see him get his ass kicked and see him all fucked up.
And
all
she
the time.
mentions a hospital
Being
a
in
couple
the back
times.
of an
like,
ambulance again.
So that
Yeah.
makes you, they never really hit on this or like flash back and show anything, but it gives you that idea that the last time he did like a big fight or whatever, he ended up in the fucking
He almost
hospital.
died.
He almost died. So it's like, that's what she's trying to avoid at all costs because like.
You have kids.
Correct.
Yeah. So we jump back to Patty, and he's at a diner. It's the next day.
Diner scene.
He's at a diner, and Tommy walks in, and
You sound like a damn rocket ship.
no, Maraca. You sound
Oh,
like
you
a
sound like a
Maraca.
damn
Maraca. I thought you said fucking rocket
No,
ship.
you sound like a fucking Maraca walking.
Did
in
anyone
here.
else notice in Love, just like it was one line, because obviously Tom Hardy doesn't speak much, but he was so polite to like the waitress.
I have it. I have
Oh, yeah,
that note.
absolutely.
I have that note.
Yep,
When
absolutely.
He's a fucking dickhead. As soon as he
Yes.
sits down, she's like, "Would you like anything?" He's like, "Oh yeah, can I have a coffee, please?"
Yeah, thank you.
Hilarious.
I was like,
dude.
that was wonderful.
Thank you so much when she puts it down.
Hilarious.
But yeah, so Tommy walks up to Patty, and Tommy tells Patty, I want you to train me for this thing that's coming up. It's a big deal, and training is one thing that you were good at. I'll admit that.
Oh, yeah, I'll
But
give
yeah,
you that.
And he says that because like Patty kind of plays dumb right away, and then right away Tommy's like, "Don't play dumb with me. I know Boyd came and talked to you,"
Yep.
and he goes, "I didn't tell him fucking anything," and he goes, "If you did, I wouldn't be here."
Mm-hmm.
And that's that one thing of like, okay. In a weird, Patty gained some trust back with Tommy with that little step.
Yes, he
So
did.
it's one of those things of like, damn, like father and son do know each other, and it's weird because they don't look alike, but I think their mannerisms and how they kind of carry themselves, they feel like a father and son to me throughout this movie.
Absolutely, because they're both. I believe that they both have the alpha male mentality versus
Correct. Well,
Brendan is.
they're the Marine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anger carrying.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
But Patty smiles when Tommy says, "Hey, I want you to train me," and
Mm-hmm.
he it's not a smile, it's a smirk, like, "Oh, I'm finding my way back in."
Yep.
And Tommy shuts it down.
Shuts that shit
right
down
away.
right-
He's
so
like,
quick.
No. He goes, "This isn't about us getting closer. This isn't about us rekindling. This is about me winning this competition. This isn't about you getting anything back of what you had
Yeah.
before. I still fucking hate you."
Yeah,
basically.
if you have war stories and your Jesus talk, go fucking tell your buddies. Like he says, go down to the VFW and tell them. That's when fucking... Because again, Tommy's stone cold with Patty this whole time.
Yeah.
He's so calculated, like, I want you to train me. That's all you've ever been good at. That's where this is going to end. And Patty's kind of trying to be nice and smirking, and then Patty fucking switches it and
Yeah.
gets stone cold, and he says... The devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And then you see Tommy's like kind of reaction of like, fuck. Like the old, I wanted old man back. Now I'm gonna, because then right away, Patty's like, by the way, you don't get to eat that, and you got to stay at the house because we're going back to the old regimen. Like, if you want to do this, we're gonna do it. But
Yeah.
remember, you asked for this, so don't fucking go and quit when things don't go your way.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, like okay, Patty still got it too.
Yep.
It's awesome. It's an awesome dynamic.
So he tells him that he's got a diet, he's got a regimen, so he's going to be staying at the house with him. He's got to bunk up so he could watch him and make sure that he's not going to be
Very
fucking up his shit.
militaristic. We got to
you
mention
do?
it because we did the pills.
Oh, the pills, yes.
The pills.
Yes.
It's a. When Tommy walks through the door, he's kind of like, it sounds like he's got pills in his pocket. Yeah, like. So Patty says, "Oh, by the way, whatever you got to kick it now because we're going clean. Whatever addictions kind of you have, get rid of it. We're training." And he's like, "Matter of fact, give me the pills now." And Tommy tries to play it dumb, and I fucked up the line. But yeah, he's like, "Come on, Tommy, you sound like a goddamn."
He gives
maraca."
him two, and he goes,
He shakes it.
He
I like
shakes
how
it.
he
He
just
shakes it. He goes,
goes-
"When you came through the door, it was and it's three and
Yeah.
and he does the two, and it's only two, and he's like, I know you have another one. You sounded like a damn maraca when you walked in here."
Yeah.
And then Tommy gets all mad and gives him his other bottle of pills, and it's just like, oh, this is a fun father-son angry dynamic,
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
guys are so healthy.
Yeah. Yes.
So we jump to Brendan, and he's at the school. He's walking through the hallways, heading to class, and he's got bruises all over.
Yeah.
him
There's
because he's fucked up.
He's cleaned up, but I mean, it's the day after a
You can't hide that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This isn't a hey, I fell down some
no.
steps.
This is a fight.
It's like
He
got
was in
my
a
ass,
fight.
not my ass beat because he did win the competition, but
There was a
is-
fight that
yes.
took place.
Yeah.
And when he gets in the classroom, the kids are in the back and they're talking about like, "Oh man, I saw
My brother.
My brother said he saw
Yeah.
Mr. C and he was MMA fighting, and let's ask him if it's true." So he starts class and they're like, I love this sentence that this kid says because like, "Hey man, my brother said he saw you at the titty bar yesterday." Like this is the cool teacher that he is, that these
Yeah.
kids feel comfortable enough to say titty bar.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever would have said that to one of my teachers. He's like, "Yeah, was it true?" And at that moment, you see Principal Zito, and I can't remember the actor who plays him, but
fucking-
what I know him from is from fucking Small Soldiers. He's the dad in Small
He's
Soldiers.
also the dad in Transformers.
Yes,
Steve Witwicky.
correct.
Mr.
Yes.
Witwicky.
Mr. Witwicky, yes.
He plays
Kevin Dunn.
Kevin
he
Dunn,
plays
okay.
father figures and like teachers and shit some of the best of all to do it. He's so
Absolutely,
good at
yeah.
it, man. I don't know what it is about it. But
He's
so
got
good at
that.
it.
He gives off that dad vibe for sure. But he plays the principal, and he comes up to the door, and he knocks on the window, and he looks at Brennan, and he kind of gives him these motions, because obviously you can't hear him, but he like taps his wrist, like watch, like see me after class type thing.
Like, bring your ass to my office, bro.
Yes.
The you're in trouble face.
So Brendan deflects the questions that the kid asked of, like, is it true that he was knocking motherfuckers out? And we jump to the principal's office, and Brendan gets in there, and Principal Zito warns him. He goes, superintendent's coming about this shit, and you get a vibe from these two that they've been working together for a long time.
Yeah,
this isn't a I'm your
They're
boss.
friends,
This
yeah.
is not a boss type relationship. This is like a buddy type of
Yeah.
relationship, and it's good because he's like, superintendent's coming, and what the fuck were you thinking, dude?
Yeah, and he says, like, we can't have teachers cockfighting in parking lots of strip clubs.
Well,
And
he's
it's like,
at the strip club because it was in the parking lot.
yeah, exactly. And it's like moments like that show you, like, he's like, bro, like, I understand you're doing what you got to do and make other money and all that.
Yeah, because he says we're gonna lose the house. I need the money.
But he's like, dude, you're all, like,
You're a
I'm the
teacher.
principal and you're a teacher walking in with your face busted open. Like, my hands are fucking like,
I can't do much to
anything
defend
here.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brennan tells him that he used to be a fighter. So
Yeah, that's when you learn, because he's like,
He's-
at
I
the end of
used
the
to
day,
be
what
one
the
of
hell's
those.
wrong?
I
He
used to
says,
be one of those animals.
You're gonna
Yeah.
get killed by one of those animals.
Yeah,
and
I
he's like,
used
I
to
used to
be.
be one of those animals. And then you really understand. Oh, Brendan was a professional fighter, and he doesn't really put it out there much.
Yeah,
because
he's
had
like,
no
oh,
idea. Oh,
I guess I left that off my resume. And he goes,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess you did.
Yeah.
And then before he opens the door to introduce him to the superintendent, he's like, so you used to be fucking big.
He goes,
I can't remember what
he goes, UFC, which is the big
Yeah.
MMA pro, and he goes, yeah. And he goes, holy shit.
No
You know?
shit,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's just a good little
Yeah,
moment of, like,
it
he's like,
is.
oh wow, well,
It's
I guess.
it's an I got your back if I can get your back.
Yeah.
I'll do what I
versus
can.
Yeah, and
versus
he
a-
tells him, like, shut the fuck up, just say yes sir,
Yep.
no sir, and whatever happens,
Say,
happens.
"It
But,
won't
Hopefully
happen
he's in a good
again."
mood.
yeah,
hopefully
I'll
he's
try to. Yeah, dude hasn't been in a school since 9/11.
Yes. So we jump to the next scene, which is Tess gets home from work, and Brennan is in the kids' playroom, and he's kind of just like fixing things up while the kids are sleeping. And we find out that
You could tell it's almost like he's hiding, trying to distract himself.
Yeah, I think that Tess, like, went to the hearing or whatever.
Yeah, I couldn't
that's like
tell
what it
exactly
is
where
because
she was coming home
like
from.
she gives him the news of what happened at his status. So it must have been some kind of meeting or whatever. He was like, I'm not going to that. So Tess went.
yeah,
to
because she
hear.
tells him everything. She says, you're suspended
Yeah.
without pay, but I think we could fight it. We're going to get a lawyer
Well, the
because they
principal,
can't do
You'll
that.
be back-
principal's
you'll
the
be
one that
back
gave
next
him his
semester.
attorney's number.
Yes.
So that's when you know
Okay, yeah.
too, like, oh, this guy, they are actually friends because the principal, she says Vito gave me the number of his attorney, and Brennan's like, we can't afford that, and he's like, he'll do it pro bono. He already talked to him, and
He'll
he doesn't
do it as
think
a favor for him.
he doesn't think that there's a case in why you really got suspended. So
Yeah.
you'll be back next semester or by the end of fall.
You'll
or
be
whatever
back
the
next
fuck it is,
semester.
you know?
Yes.
But he says, we don't have till next semester. We
Correct.
need the money now.
Yeah.
They have like 90 days. I
3
think.
weeks or
Yeah.
some shit like that.
Yeah, so Brendan says, tosses
yeah,
out the
90
idea. Brendan says, I want to do more fighting. And, it'll be small time fights, just to bring in some money. What I can make in a month bouncing, I can make in one night if I was fighting. And he says, these guys I'm just fighting guys who watch UFC on TV.
Correct.
Wannabes.
And again,
Because this line comes back later. So
and
it's,
now we know that Brendan was a UFC professional fighter. So Tess knows that he's a professional fighter and that he is kind of just fighting dudes like off the couch that are wannabes. So, like, in theory, yeah, it's a fight. You can always get hurt. But, like, more times than not, Brendan's going to be able to handle
Yeah,
all
you'll get
these
hurt, but you're not going
dudes.
to get your ass handed to you.
Brendan's going to do okay in this kind of circuit.
Yes. So the next scene is Patty's waking up Tommy. He's walking up the stairs. He's
all joyful.
He's annoying as fuck in the scene, but
That's part of
I
it.
understand it. Yeah, absolutely. He's
Waking
He's
him up.
coaching it up.
yeah, he's coming from downstairs, upstairs, being pretty loud. So he's gradually getting louder to Tommy's character, or to Tommy. And he shows up and he's got this chart and he goes, "Oh, look what I found in the basement."
It's
Looking
the
around everything.
theogenesis.
There you
chart.
go. Yep. And that's what the commentators on the video were hinting at. And so you can tell even as a kid, he had this chart of wins that he had because he wanted to beat the record of.
Theogenesis,
There
who
you
was
go,
an
thank you.
ancient Greek Olympian.
There you go.
Ah, okay. But he mentions a time he goes, "Oh, I found this chart and let's update it. Tell me about
All the fights
tell me about all the fights.
afterwards.
Did you keep fighting afterwards?" And Tommy shuts the shit down again on him. He's like, "Look, you could leave the pot of coffee and you could let me wake up myself from now on. I could do that shit myself, and you can get the fuck out of my room."
The
'cause you
deal
ain't
was
getting
to
anything."
train.
Yep.
The deal was to train, and you're ready day one, starting this like bonding bullshit.
I
And
can wake
I'm not a
myself.
little kid anymore. Like,
Yeah.
you don't need to bring me coffee. You don't need to wake me up. Like, I'll be there when we're ready to start the day.
Yeah.
And it's another like, damn.
Yeah, and it's
Like-
it's especially worse because Patty's last line is like, my knees are bad. Like how much it hurt me to walk up these steps.
he's like, oh, it hurt me coming up the steps anyways. He plays it off like, oh, I didn't want to wake you up anyways, and then he gives him like, the pot. I dumped the pot at 0500. So
Yeah.
basically, if you don't
Get
have
your ass
coffee,
up.
if you don't have coffee by then, like, I'm throwing it out. So fuck you. And it's just that moment of like, man, Tommy hates this dude, and anything Patty's about to try just is not going to work.
No.
Like, they are just going to train. That's what this is going to be about.
Yep. Our next scene was almost a jarring scene because I had no idea. I thought this was a flashback at first, but it's in Iraq. It's you see the military.
You're at like a
there.
Marine base.
Yes. So the Marines are. You're following one main Marine, and it's a name until later on. But you see this main Marine. He walks into a tent, and all these other soldiers are watching YouTube videos. And this YouTube video in particular that they're watching is Tommy whooping Mad Dog's ass. And this soldier just watches the screen, and he kind of freaks out.
Yeah, he has like a moment.
Yeah, he runs out of there, and he runs into his bunker, and he tells his friend, he's like, "I need to see the tape." And he goes, "What the fuck are you talking about? Get the tape."
Yeah.
He pulls it up and he puts it into a video camera and he plays it back, and you see Tommy's in the water against a tank, and he just pauses it on it and he says,
And you can
"It's
tell
him."
the face is like the same kind
Yeah.
of face. So yeah, it's just
And all he says is, "It's him," and it ends there.
yeah, it's a very like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
all
what the fuck
about?
am I watching right now? And our next scene is Brendan showing up at a gym, and we see Frank, a trainer, and this is played by Frank Grillo.
This is one of my favorite roles of Frank Grillo, by the way.
Yeah, I mean he
love
doesn't have
him in
he
this
doesn't have many in
He's
general,
such an
but
important
he's
fucking character
fantastic.
in this movie. He's so good.
Absolutely. But he walks up to his friend Frank, and Frank's training this other guy.
Marco.
Yes, he's training Marco. And he takes a break, and he comes and hugs Brendan, and he says...
You can tell it's like Frank's gym. Like this is
Yes.
his gym. He's
Beethoven's
the big trainer.
playing.
Yeah,
Beethoven's playing throughout the entire gym.
He's
which
got all
we
these
will learn
lions. Fucking
Soul of a lion.
Soul of
I
a
think.
lion
Yeah,
is printed
yeah.
everywhere because that's like his saying and all that. If you don't move, you die.
Yeah.
All that kind of shit is posted
All the
everywhere.
affliction type
Yep.
fucking shirts.
Yep.
And he goes, "Oh, you like that guy that I'm training? I'm training him for Sparta." And he goes, "Oh, that's cool." So they go to his office, and you can tell right away that they're friends. They're
Oh, long time friends.
Frank is apologizing for not being around. He's like, "Yeah, I heard your daughter had health issues, man. I'm so sorry I didn't come. I should have been there." He goes, "No, it's cool." And Brendan tells him, "I'm losing the house." And Frank goes,
All my money's tied up.
all
on
my
this.
money's tied
Oh,
up.
it's
I
just
could
such
try
a
to
great
do
scene, dude.
It really
without
is.
him asking anything, he instantly is like, "I got most of the money tied up in the gym, but how much do you need? Because I can see kind of what I can move around." And Brendan's like, "No, I'm not. I'm not looking for. Like,
I want your
money."
help, but I don't want your help like this."
Yeah.
He says, "I want you to train me."
And Frank has a reaction of like,
does.
"Bro, like you've been out the game how many
And this
years?
is-
Like, are you fucking insane?"
And not even just that, not even just being out of the game, is he also mentions that, last time I trained
Yep.
you didn't listen to anything I said. So why would I want to train you again? As well as the fact that the last time I trained you, Tess tore me a new asshole because you were in the fucking hospital after a match.
This is what I really love because this is what explains why Frank hasn't been around a lot. It's like Tess hates Frank. You can tell, like, because
She
Frank was the
blames
trailer.
him
She,
for- yeah.
he's the trainer, the coach.
Mm-hmm.
He probably's the one that's like, "Hey, Brendan, you can do this. Let's take this fight and all this shit." So when Brendan's knocked out in the fucking hospital, who's sitting there
It's gonna
getting
be Frank's
all the
fault.
hell
Oh, yeah.
from Tess the whole time? So that you can tell right away, like, he's very like, "I'm not crossing Tess at all. I don't give a fuck what
Yeah.
you say. Like,
You might be tough as fuck, but I don't want the wrath of her.
correct. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's that typical like friend. Like,
I'm scared.
wife.
I'm scared
Yep.
of your wife, dude. Yeah.
Yep. Like, nope. I'm not going there, bro.
It's a really good scene, but he does end up saying, I'm tied up with
Marco.
him right now, but when I can, I will help you. And he says, cool.
As long as Tess knows about it.
Yes. And he,
Yeah, he
he's
basically
straight up
says,
with him.
your wife and daughters aren't going to come after me, right?
Yeah, because Brendan tells him, like he tells Tess, he's like, look, I'm going to get in the low-level circuits, because that's what he's like, oh, this is what this is about. You had a taste of blood, kind of.
Yeah,
and
you
now
had- you
think-
want a match.
And he's like, no, I want to fight these low-level circuits so I can make some extra income, because they're going to close on the house. Like, so he agrees, yeah, we'll train you. You're not going to get a ton of my attention, but I'll help you when I can, and you can get thrown in the sparring rotation, so at least you're fresh.
Yeah.
And I always like, I'm going to go get my bag.
Yeah.
We'll start now.
So Brendan, this is a few hours later, Brendan gets home from the gym and he pulls into his driveway and Patty's there, which is a big shock to Brendan because he gets out. He
Brendan is
goes,
shocked.
you know, this is my house and we said phone or mail.
Yeah, there's two ways of communication, Pop, phone or mail.
Yes. And Patty says right away, like, hey, you know, I'm 1,000 days today. And he tells Brendan, you know, have a heart. And Brendan, when he says this, fucking Brendan's like, fuck you.
Yep. Which is great because later on, I'll mention something about this too. But in this moment, there's multiple times where characters get a little bold in what they think that like the other person should be feeling, and they say something, and the other character just fucking snaps and put things into perspective really fucking quick.
Oh, yeah.
I love that
this
line
is
that
and
he
this
said.
is one of them when Brendan just like gives him this look like, there's no way you just went there. Like,
Yeah.
are you crazy?
Just because
And
it's
you
a
don't-
special day for you doesn't mean it is
Yep.
for me.
Yep.
And
Oh,
it's
so
it's
good.
really nice because not really nice, but he does say the sentence of you are the reason, you know the reason why you're not allowed to see my family, and they never really give that reason. But it's heavily insinuated that he was probably drunk at some event, and
Correct.
he fucking
Belligerent, something.
And this is after his mom and Tommy
Were gone.
too. So
Yeah.
you can tell they still were in contact and all that. But yeah, Patty did something at some party, and
it had
something
to,
happened.
It had to have been fairly recently because Patty does make a comment that, you know, that's my granddaughter, and there's one that I've never even seen before. So
Yeah.
he's seen the granddaughter, and she's
older
probably 7,
Yeah.
8 years old.
The other one's like 3 or 4, probably.
Yeah. So within 7 or 8 years,
something happened.
something happened.
And what's
Whatever
1,000 days?
yeah.
That's like 3 years almost. That's 3 years.
That's math I can't fucking do.
I think that's 365
we're
days.
getting fucking nerd math going on this right
It's
now.
around 3 years.
2.7 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
so maybe
so-
within the last 2.7 years is when he last saw his family.
Shortly after.
No,
he
it had to have been before.
It was
No, it'd be
before,
before that.
because
You-
then he decided to get sober, and now he's 1,000
Correct.
days,
In ideal storytelling, that event would have caused him probably to finally go get sober.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's not important because they don't address it, but
No.
it's everything that you need. It was just said
You
in
can
that
tell
sentence.
Brendan-
Another layer of that family drama shit.
Brendan
that
has
happened,
just as much fucking problems with his old man as Tommy does.
Yes.
That's what this is about. It's very
He does
cut
not
and
have a
dry.
good relationship with either of his kids.
And Brendan is the one that kind of took action where he's like, well, now you're not going to see the family anymore because we don't do that shit around here. Like, we're not.
My kids don't see that.
Correct.
None of that.
Yeah.
So Brendan starts walking into the house, and before he gets into the house, Patty lays this down on him. He goes, Tommy's back.
Yep.
And Brendan stops in his tracks, and he starts walking back, and he says, well, does Tommy want to see me? And Patty says, well, Tommy doesn't say much, and, you know, I have no idea what he wants, but Brendan spins it right away, and he goes, oh, you didn't come here to tell me Tommy's here. You came here to gloat.
Yeah, 'cause-
and tell me
'Cause he
that your
tells
Because he tells him
favorite-
I'm training
He's
him
back
again.
at the house,
Yeah,
and I'm
I'm
training
you're here
him.
to gloat and say that your favorite son is back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you never cared about me. You cared about Tommy. You wanted your front runner, not your underdog.
Yeah.
And he fucking takes these jabs at me. You're like, and Patty never defends himself or says you're wrong. So you have to take it as, yeah, that is what Patty felt. He never cared about Brendan because he was the guy who didn't knock motherfuckers out in one punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the older brother.
He's like, even when Tommy left, I thought I'd have you all to myself, and I still didn't.
Yeah, it's and then Patty like breaks down and starts crying for like forgiveness,
He
and
does.
that's when he has the have a heart line, and Brendan basically is like, fine, I forgive you, but I don't trust you at all.
Yep.
And then that kills Patty too, because he's like, well, you can't have one
You
without
can't-
the
yeah.
other, like,
Yeah.
and as that's when Brendan's had enough of this fucking conversation, decides I'm going in the house.
And by this point, like, Tess has already noticed that you
Everybody's
tried to
there,
open the door already. What's
and
going
the little
on?
girls are like, oh, who's the old man? And he's like, oh, it's just a nice old man. It's nobody. So it's one of those
Yeah.
moments of like, he doesn't even not like the girls have no idea. They don't even acknowledge who this guy is. And it's just Patty's, again, left standing there kind of like dealing with the consequences of his past kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's heavy. It's like, oh, damn.
You feel sad for him, but the other side of you says,
This
fucking-
guy was a
you
real
earned-
motherfucker. That's
you
what
earned
you
that
know.
shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if this is what if
I
what
put
you get,
myself in either Brendan or Tommy's shoes, you're like, yeah, dude, you've got they've got to be in their 30s, 40s by this point.
Oh, yeah, 30s. Yeah,
30s, I'd say.
because Frank says, Brendan, you're on the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
So
So
he's gotta
you
be upper
got 30
30s.
something years of shit to make up
Correct,
for. Like,
correct.
that's not happening anytime
Yep.
soon.
we jump to our next scene, and it is at the cult gym, and they're watching TV, and we see Koba.
Koba,
This is our introduction to Koba,
the mythical Russian.
dude.
Who is?
You know who it is, right?
Yeah, I do, and it took me so fucking long. I
Holy
think I watched
shit.
this movie two or
Hilarious.
3 times before I realized
Which
this
is awesome.
fucking Kurt Angle.
Yeah,
if
which-
you were a wrestling fan from the '90s
Yep.
or early thousands,
Or a actual wrestling U.S. Olympic wrestling fan.
Yeah.
Dude, like Kurt Angle has won gold. Like
Yeah.
that's what's funny when they go, oh, the Olympic gold medalist, right? When they talk about Koba.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, dude, Kurt Angle
Fucking Kurt Angle.
that's in every Kurt Angle contract. He's like, you got to mention that I won an Olympic medal with a broken neck, by the way.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
did you
but
like Kurt Angle when he was a wrestler?
this is one of those things that I hated him. I despised him, right?
Me too.
I don't
But
think
as you
anybody
get
liked it.
older, you realize, holy shit, he was doing his job. He was the one that he was a heel. He was supposed to be hated that whole time. It's like
Okay,
I
yeah,
hated
absolutely.
Edge growing up. Edge was the most annoying motherfucker of all time. I get older now and I go, Edge is probably one of the best wrestlers of all time because he was like, you want the villain? I'll
I
give you the
got
fucking
you.
villain.
Mm-hmm.
And there needs to be villains to make Cena look good. And that's what Kurt Angle was. You don't have Cena without Kurt Angle being this piece of shit. And so that's like, it's one of those things where I hated him growing up, but now that I'm older, I'm like, he's amazing. He did exactly like there needs to be that necessary evil, and he played that character to a T, and I hated him as a little kid, and that's what he wanted.
I think one of the biggest things too about realizing that this is Kurt Angle is that, you know, when Kurt Angle was wrestling in the early thousands, he still had like a little bit of baby chub on his cheeks and stuff. And when you see Koba, he is a
Koba's big.
fucking massive giant with like no body fat. He looks like a completely different person. His eyes don't even look the same. Like he had to have been wearing contacts or something for this role.
Yeah, he looks
because he does
crazy.
not look like fucking. Kurt
He doesn't
Angle.
say one line though the whole movie, because
Nope.
I guarantee you he couldn't do like a Russian accent, and they were like, you know what, don't worry about
You
it.
know what?
Which is so funny because he was
scrap that.
Which is funny because Kurt Angle is fucking Mr. America in wrestling, and now he's playing this Russian dude.
Well, because they said, you want to be the baddest man on the planet? That's who this guy's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'll be a Russian for that.
Yep. So
It's
he, but they do mention that Koba's a Russian fighter, and he's undefeated, and he's going to be at the
He's
Sparta
out for
tournament.
blood.
Yeah.
Yes, he's going to be at the Sparta tournament. And this is when Coach Colt walks up to Tommy, because Tommy walks in, and he says, hey, just so you know, I got you into Sparta. And Tommy just nods and fucking walks away. And Coach Colt is like, you know, thank you would be fucking nice,
Thank
man.
you and
It's customary.
Thank you and
Yeah.
10% is customary in
Yeah.
this industry or whatever. And Tommy just blows him the fuck off.
Yes. Tommy goes to a payphone, and Tommy calls a family, a Hispanic family. And you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on?
Because again, he's back to being super nice Tommy, where he's like, hello, like,
Yeah.
like very, very
How you
polite,
doing?
very soft spoken.
Different person that we've seen this entire movie.
Completely
Probably
different
who
person.
he is to everyone but his family.
Yeah,
Yes.
to be honest.
Yeah.
So he calls this Hispanic family, and we get to see all these pictures. You see, it's a small house, but we don't get to see.
Couple kids.
Yeah, you see a couple kids, and you learn that her husband is a Marine. She goes, "Oh, Tommy, it's great to hear from you again." He asks how the kids are. He's very,
He
goes,
knows them.
Yes, he knows them. He's aware of them and what they are.
He's
to him.
checking in on him. It's like
He
a
is
checking in
exactly
phone call.
what he's doing. Yes. So he tells her he hasn't forgotten about his promise to Manny, and before the call is done, we get a pan in on this picture on a picture frame, and it's of Tommy, and he's standing next to a man in uniform, and it's this
Manny.
Manny that the wife mentions. So you learn that, okay,
served together.
Manny's not in the picture, and these guys were friends, so he's looking out for this family,
Correct.
and that's exactly what he's doing.
Yep.
But he had mentioned to her that, there's this opportunity that came up, and it's going to help you guys a lot. And she says, whatever you could do, anything
Yeah,
helps.
she's super polite too. She's not desperate or like crying for money or anything. She's very happy to hear from Tommy. Like he's
To know
obviously
he's
like
okay.
family from her. So yeah, she's very like anything you can do, we appreciate it. Like don't worry about it, all that kind of stuff.
This is who Tommy cares about.
Correct.
This is his motivation for this movie. And
That's Tommy's family compared to
And then we get one of the coolest training
we go,
montages and videos and editing that I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, because it shows you it's not just one screen you're watching. You're kind of watching multiple screens.
They get bigger and they
Yeah.
get smaller. They're like changing out, and you have some that are Brendan, some that are Tommy, and you
Some
see
that
the
are
different ways.
news articles, and some are just fucking
press conferences.
I was gonna say like Sparta interviews.
Yeah,
and stuff
and
like
you just
that.
see like the difference between how like Brendan's training with Frank, which is all this like positive reinforcement and all this Beethoven bullshit.
Classical.
And Tommy is like doing the Rocky, like running in a sweatsuit, hitting a tire with a hammer, like just
Flipping
you're angry,
tires and shit,
You're
yeah.
angry like strongman workouts, and it's like you can see the two different like styles that are being applied, and they're both working. And throughout the montage too, you start to see Brendan like
progress
more. Like Tommy's just working out as an
That's the
animal
most
the whole
important
time.
thing, is that we get to see that progression in Brendan. That's the
Brendan's
most
starting to
important thing of this.
compress.
Probably the most important thing
Because
of
of
this
the
entire
two,
montage.
of the two, he's taken the most break. Because I mean, you got to think.
yeah.
Tommy was a fucking Marine, so no matter what, he was always.
He's
in
an
shape.
animal.
Yeah.
He's already trained. There's nothing more for him to learn other than just getting fucking stronger.
He looks like a goddamn gorilla.
Whereas
He's
Brand,
huge.
being a physics teacher, you're gonna fall out of shape. You're not.
Correct. And it's very apparent in the beginning of the training. He's at the back of the pack and all that, and by the end, he's starting to
Typical
be
montage.
the one that's in the
Passing him
front,
up,
and
yeah.
Frank's chirping his other, like, he's got dudes 20 years younger than him. He's like, you're letting the old guy beat you, that kind of shit. Like, it's awesome.
Physics teacher's coming up with the
they
winner.
call him teacher
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Don't let the physics teacher tap you out, like shit like that.
Yep.
But yeah, like you had said, Frank's giving his inspiration. He's telling people, listen to the music, stay calm. You run this fucking thing. Let the Beethoven, you set the pace.
Yep.
You set the rhythm. Feel the Beethoven.
During one of the like Sparta interviews they show too, like Mad Dog's talking a bunch of shit about Tommy. You learn that like the Mad Dog video's gone absolutely viral, and everyone's like, "Who is this Tommy guy? Who is this unknown dude that fucking took out Mad Dog?" And Mad Dog's like, "It was a fluke. This shit'll never happen again." Blah 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 blah
I'm
blah.
gonna rock his ass.
And
at
you're
Sparta.
gonna find out in 2 weeks
Yeah,
at
exactly.
Sparta.
So it's like that whole just like all this shit is building up in the video that the Marine saw, and that happened to Mad Dog has just gone like insanely viral.
Yeah.
We also get to see some, because like I said, there's a bunch of clips that you're watching in this montage.
Yeah, it just all
you get to see
happens.
Tess, and Tess is watching videos of Koba. So,
yeah.
so she sees him beating people's ass, and you get to see Brendan, with the progression. You also get to see Brendan winning his small matches that he signed up to do this for, to win money for his family.
In much cleaner fashion too than the first one.
Yes, exactly. We get to see Brendan passing up Marco while they're doing their running, which is leading up to this very last shot of this montage, which Frank, it's a zoom in on Frank, and Frank is pissed. He's on the phone, and it pans down after Frank throws his phone, and we see that Marco is holding his leg, like Marco's
holding his knee, which everyone, like any running knee injury automatically is like, that's not good.
No.
Everyone
He's not.
knows that's the word. Non-contact knee injuries are the worst
not
things that ever happen.
good at all. So we jump to our next scene, which is at the hospital parking garage, and Frank and Brendan are leaving, and you could tell like they were just there to see Marco, make sure he got in the right hands.
They got him.
Be updated on what's going on with him, and they part ways. But Brendan walks up to Frank in his car, and he goes, "Hey, let's not throw everything away for Sparta. How about we just toss me in there? You know enough people. You're their guy. Use me. That way, everything that you've done can't go to waste. Just fucking take a chance on me."
You kind of get a feeling from Frank too, like he's a credible coach. Like he either has trained a bunch of fighters. Obviously, he worked with Brendan back in the day, who was a professional fighter. So like he's got this.
He has an established career.
Correct. People know. I can't remember his last name, but they're like multiple times. They're always like, "Oh, we can't wait to see what Frank Campana does in this." So he's a known figure at this point and has a reputation. And that's like one of his big things right away with Brendan is like, are you fucking nuts? Mm-hmm. And like, not only are you going to get yourself killed, like you're going to fuck my reputation up. And it's like a real honest moment of like, yeah, I'm your best friend and all this, but like,
I'm going to be honest with you.
If you, not only can you go out and get killed, you could torpedo everything I've been building the past fucking 10 years if you go out there and just get fucking smoked the first round.
But he's very reluctant at first, and he turns it down. He says,
I think at that point, that's when he says, Tyler, I got 3 weeks. Like, I need money now.
Yeah, I think yep.
I'm hungry to win, Frank.
Yep.
Like,
I think that's when he puts the 3-week timetable on it.
Yeah.
And that's when Frank
he does say it at one point.
Frank says, I'll look into it. Mm-hmm. And our next scene is the next morning, and Brendan is bringing in the trash bins or taking out the trash bins, and Tess walks out from the house, and she's on the phone, and she's making small talk. And you get the sense of, that she's talking to Frank before it even gets to, before the phone even gets to Brendan.
You can tell it's that like fake bullshit, like, yeah, it's good to hear from me, Frank. That kind of like talk. At the same time, she's like, this motherfucker did it again. Like,
yes, because she has no idea what's going on yet.
No,
because this is where she finds out, and because the phone's handed to Brendan, and Brendan's like, "Oh man, that's great news. Thanks for letting me know. Yes, I'm gonna let you go. I'll get back to you. Thanks." So
I gotta go talk to Boss Lady.
So Tess is standing there, and she's got the fucking woman look. She's got her hands on her hips. She's fucking ready for this. And Brendan says, "It's Sparta tournament. I'm gonna do it." And she's pissed. She's like,
glad we had that.
We had this conversation.
She does that like classic line of like, "Oh, I'm glad we had that conversation."
That was a good talk.
Good talk we just had about all
we
this.
made together.
Yeah.
And she said, she said something that she comes back to or said earlier. She says,
awesome.
You told me that you were going to fight people who watch too much UFC, not the guy that they're watching. That Koba guy is the guy that they're watching, and you're going to fight that fucking guy.
Yep.
You're going to fucking die." And she mentions again, I don't care about the money. I don't care about that at all. I'll live in a fucking apartment building. You can't promise that you won't get hurt. And he goes, yeah, but the one thing I can promise is that the bank is going to take the house if I don't do anything. We have to try. Mm-hmm. So he said, I'm going. And she's pissed.
Yeah, she basically makes it a point. She's like, I'm not going to watch you do this again. And you can kind of tell Tess was always like she's probably been at all his fights, been ringside, all that shit. And she basically is like, if you're doing this, I'm not going through this bullshit. I'm not going to watch you get fucking put out on the mat. So she kind of gives him, I'm out.
Yeah, but he tries. He's like, I'm doing this, but of course I would really like to have you with this
that's
on
his thing.
me.
He's like, I need you there for when I fight Tess, and she's like, no, this isn't happening. So if you want to do this, good luck. Like, not having it. And he says okay and goes to the fucking.
Yep, because the next scene is Atlantic City. They're at Sparta now.
Joyzy.
And this is the first day. This is all the fighters are coming in. Yep, all the press. Everybody's meeting each other, fucking wearing suits. There's no fighting yet. And we get to see JJ, the director of this movie, and he's mentioning, growing up, everybody wants to know who the toughest kid in the neighborhood is.
It's actually a pretty good line.
I want to know who the toughest guy in the world is, and that's why I started this. And it is a really cool line.
He's like a slime ball fight guy, but it's like your Vince McMahon, you know what I mean? It's like
this guy
absolutely.
exists.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great line. All these fighters are walking around. They're acquainting themselves with everybody else.
They're getting asked questions and like interviewed by all these people.
And we see that Tommy is there.
Yeah,
and,
everyone but Tommy, we should say.
But Tommy is off the sides, and he notices Brendan.
And Tommy's not in a suit. He's in his hoodie. Patty's the one doing talking for him. Yep. Patty's talking to like pressers. Press. Like Tommy's in the corner, wants nothing to do with fucking anyone. And like
we find out the reason of that later on.
Correct.
And it's so good because you're like, okay, this isn't just Tommy's being an
asshole.
But at this point, we think like this dude's an animal and just wants to whoop people's ass. Like he doesn't give a fuck about any of this. He wants to send money to those people, so he has a motivation. But he's not about any of the bullshit, dude. He's like old school Tyson. Like I'm gonna fucking kill you and kill your family. Like that's what I'm coming to do. And you think that's what's going on this whole time, and it gives you that asshole vibe. But again, as the movie folds on, there's reasons for all of this shit, dude.
Moment.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
But
writing.
in this scene, Tommy and Brendan lock eyes. They see each other, and this is the first time since at least
14, I think
14
he said-
years or whatever.
I think they were 14 and 16 when they
So,
left.
like, it's that idea of, like, holy shit, these guys haven't said a word to each other. And they both kind of, like, see each other and look away to try to not see each other. And they lock eyes, kind of. And it's that moment of, like, what's going to happen? Who's going to say what? Because they're all the way across the room in classic dramatic movie form.
Shit ton of people
Every
in the
every
room.
time I
Shit ton
see
of ways.
every time I see this scene, because you had mentioned Superbad, I always think of the scene where Michael Cera gets caught looking at Becca's boobs, and she looks at him, and he just looks around the room.
Yeah,
This
'cause
is what
they
I think
both
of
do
every
that.
time. Yeah,
And then you have that moment where it hangs on Brendan more than Tommy, where you're like, is Brendan going to go do something?
yeah.
Like,
Because
is Brendan going to say
Brendan
anything?
wants it. Brendan wants this.
Correct.
This interaction.
He has no ill will towards his brother.
Yeah.
As far as, like, at this point, like, what we've seen in all this shit. But, no, doesn't happen. He kind of does the classic, like, look back and Tommy's not
Yep.
there anymore. And then
Brendan's pulled away to do.
Brendan's
some press
pulled
stuff.
away by Frank. He's like, oh, we got to go do all this press stuff. And so you miss that interaction, but they've actually seen each other. And that's the first moment they've been in the same room together.
And this is something to address, is that if for some people who, I'm not sure if we even mentioned it, but Brendan's last name is Conlon. Brendan Conlon, and Tommy
Yeah, we
is
mentioned
going
a
by
little
Tommy
bit.
Reardon. It might not, but now you got it in stone. Like Conlon and Reardon, they're going by different they have
Correct.
different last names. So we go to the next scene, and it is Patty in the room, and he's listening to his
Moby
Moby
Dick
Dick still. And he looks up, he's got the TV on, and he looks up and he sees that Tommy is on the TV. He's on the news. So he's like, what the fuck? So he puts his audiobook down. And this is a scene where the guy from the Iraq video, who remembers the Iraq video, is being interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And he is talking about how Tommy is a hero. And he tells about how they were in a battle and the tank that he was in was
flipped over like in a river or something and was starting. They were drowned.
Some
They were
type of
pinned
body
and
of
drowned.
water, yeah. And he hears this metal creaking, and he all of a sudden sees the door get ripped off of this tank, and it's Tommy. And Tommy just leaves.
Yeah, he says they saved his lives and then disappeared instantly. So
Yes.
he's like, he gives the message of like, if he's a fucking goddamn war hero, and
Yep.
if you see him, let him know. And I can't remember
I think
what
he said
said
Mike.
his name.
I think, yeah, Mike
But he says his
thank
name.
you.
He says, yeah, let him
Yeah.
know. Mike says thank you.
Yep.
Because like you realize like, oh shit, like not only was he in the war and all that, like he saved all these people and dipped.
Yep.
Like, like he's not looking for credit. He's not looking for any of this shit. Like he had like an actual hero moment that like a lot of normal people never get.
Yeah. And
So,
as
it's
a
cool.
as a first time viewer, you're watching this movie like, what the fuck? What's
Well, yeah,
Tommy's
because he's
problem?
also this asshole and all this shit too. It's just like, this is the most confusing dude of all
Yeah.
time. You're like, this guy has some real fucking demons, man.
Yeah, what
like,
the fuck is going on?
Something, yeah.
And at that moment, Tommy does walk into the room, and Patty's like, what's going on here? I didn't know this. Obviously, he didn't know it because he doesn't tell me anything personal about him.
And Patty also, this whole movie, like, talks about how he's a ex-vet and he's a member of the Marine Corps and all this shit. So it's one of those like, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
tell me kind of thing? I was in the war and all that
Comrade,
shit
yeah.
too. Like, so it's that weird moment, and yeah, Tommy wants no part of it and he's
Yep.
like, I'm going for a walk. Like,
He leaves.
see ya.
Yep. When Tommy leaves the room, Patty gets on the phone and he calls Brennan.
No,
he says
Patty's
is-
phone rings and it's Brendan.
Oh,
Brendan
oh,
calls
that's what it is?
Patty,
Okay,
and
yeah.
that's even more interesting because he's like, I hate Patty. I don't want to talk to him and all that. All of a sudden, the phone rings, and now Brendan has seen it, and you can tell it's the big brother instinct of like, where the fuck's Tommy?
Yeah. And this is the only part of the movie that I'm like, man, I needed a scene in between here. Because the next scene is Tommy and Brennan, and they're walking on the beach towards each other, which I'm like, how the fuck did they... It's something that I think needed. It was
It's
a
one of
little
those.
thing that I could
I
have been
think
needed.
Tommy went out and walked and was hanging out on the beach, and it's one of those like, Patty like, yo, he just went for a walk. He's probably down on the boardwalk. Brendan's been walking around and finds him kind of standing there on the beach, and then as he starts approaching, you get the dramatic like turn and them kind of walk.
And it
But
could have
again,
been something as simple as the conversation they had with Brennan on the phone. Like, yeah, he just went for a walk, and Brennan's like, he always liked the beach when we came here.
And to be honest,
Bam.
it could be something that was cut because the movie was already 2 hours and 20 minutes.
True.
Yeah.
Like that could be. That's an easy
Yeah.
scene that they're like, yo, we want 30 seconds gone. Get rid of them
Pull
fucking
that.
walking down to the beach. So,
Yeah. So the next scene is Brandon and
but this
Tommy.
scene's fucking fire too.
It
dude.
is. They're walking on the beach towards each other, and you're like, oh, shit, here it goes. And Brennan's like, hey, you want to go get some coffee? And Tommy's like, no,
I don't
And
drink coffee.
you get this huge moment of just Tommy just resents the fuck out of Brendan. You're like, well, you don't know why.
Yep.
So he tells him, he goes, you left me with mom and you started a family and good for you, but
You didn't follow the plan to come with us.
Yeah, that was the whole idea.
You
was
left me here.
Obviously, you can start telling again. They never actually say all this, but you can tell Tommy and Brendan's mom at one point decided, okay, we're leaving Patty. He's too abusive and all this. We gotta go. I'm taking the kids and we're gone. And Brendan was old enough where he was kind of given an option of like, hey, this is what we're doing. And Brendan decided, no, I'm 17 or whatever.
He was 16 and he said, I fell in love.
I'm not fucking following the plan. So they go off and do all the shit. And you find out, that throughout this movie, you find out, she's been sick and obviously passed and all this. So there's a lot of that resentment from Tommy being like, you left me with all the fucking responsibility in the world and abandoned us when we were your fucking family because you wanted to go hang out with your girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, and he's like, it's my wife.
And that's the best part of the scene is anytime one of them hits a dig, the other one has a counter for it and then throws another dig. And it's like, and he's like, it's not a girl, I married her. And not only that, we have 2 kids and you're a fucking uncle. Like you have nieces, and pulls out the pictures trying to be all friendly. And Tommy's like,
You don't even want to look at it. He's like, you're not my family. He's like, I didn't know you were in the Marines. What he said.
That's
I didn't know you were in the Corps.
Line, dude.
He's like, I didn't know you were in the Corps.
My brother was in the Corps.
I don't know what you. No, I wasn't in the Corps. And he's like, well, then you're not my family. That's my family.
Yeah, it's just you can tell it's years of just bad fucking blood, man. And Brendan gets cocky at one point, and that's when he goes like, it took me a while to forgive you, but I forgave you guys. Like you need to do the same. And it's the moment of like. What Patty did to Brendan, Tommy fucking flips on Brendan at this moment when he's like, forgive us. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, I'm the one that had to watch mom die. I'm the one that had to do this and that and all this. And then Brendan's mad and reveals that, like, I didn't even know mom was sick because this all happened after you guys took off and you never fucking contacted me. So it's all this resentment of like
I didn't say goodbye. Yeah.
It's unfair. I didn't get to bury my mother. He's like, it's unfair that you kept that shit from me. But Tommy's like, fuck you. I was the one taking care of her. It was all. So it's this whole just brother mess of like, they're both angry at each other. Brendan still is the one that loves him. You can tell he's still like is trying to fix all this and get through to Tommy, and Tommy is just having none of it.
And it's.
I think I think he does make a comment at this point too. Is like, you think it was still a cakewalk staying with Dad?
It's something to be noted that I think Sam had mentioned earlier that Brendan is the older brother.
He is.
He's older by 2 years, so maybe this is a not immaturity thing, but a thing of like, not sure how to word it, but Tommy just didn't have not the life experience because it's only 2 years, but. Maybe he just needed a little bit more growing up to realize this is something that I should have been doing. Maybe I should have just talked to my brother. A lot of
the problem, too, is, like, it's family hate, which is always deeper than everything else. Like, that shit hits hard anytime it's family quarrels and, like, actual bad blood. Mm-hmm. And it's also... Brendan's assuming a lot of things about the situation like everyone does at Tommy in this movie, and no one knows really the truth of what's going on in Tommy's head and what's really happening kind of to him. So there's a lot of like this and that, but Tommy's dealing with all of this other shit at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that's where Brendan's misstepping is because he's kind of trying to judge this situation and drive the conversation, but
he thinks he's only upset about family stuff.
Correct. That's the whole thing is he thinks he knows, like, in a way, he's like, Tommy, you don't have a right to be upset about all this shit as much as you are because it losing mom hurt me too, that kind of bullshit. Like, I had a drunk father too, like, boo fucking who.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But again, we don't know at this point the full Tommy story. So it's a great scene of just like, and it's the perfect, like, Tommy just does the, like, you fucking done talking now? Like, yep. I'm done with this conversation. And you just have that idea of like, oh, this is not going to be good if these guys meet in this tournament. Like, that's where the seed is planted for me of being like, oh, this is going to be fucking fireworks when these two actually come across each other. Because Brendan's pissed by the end of this too. It's not so much like, Brendan's starting to get a little mad at, like, it's kind of like that idea of like, stop being a little bitch about this stuff. Like, you're starting to piss me off.
Yeah.
It's I love it.
It was a good scene. We jump to the next scene, which is the high school kids, and they are at the they're at the school. They're talking to Principal Zito, and they're like, we want to use the auditorium to watch to watch Mr. C.
The Sparta event.
They want to
in
use
his-
a gym.
yeah,
They want to
outside,
basically
yeah.
get pay-per-view at school. They
Yes.
want to just do it all.
And the principal Zito's like, you want to watch your suspended teacher perform in the act that he was suspended for on school grounds, and it's just funny seeing it because he's like, no,
And the kids instantly are like, we thought you would say that. So what if we make it a fundraiser? We'll do this, this, and this. And
Yeah.
he's just like, I really appreciate that you guys loved your teacher. That's awesome. But
Well, that can't fucking spin that.
there's nothing I can do to help you here. Like, it's not going to happen.
And I want to say, I don't know how you are with, being a scriptwriter and everything, that I hate and I mentioned this to Sam, I hate the forced relationship that it seemed like these kids have with each other.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact, and I get it, I 100% get it, but to me this feels forced, that we got the white popular cheerleader girl with the Hispanic jock with the white boy nerd and the token black guy.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of seem like best friends. And they could be. In a Breakfast Club world, these motherfuckers will talk to each other.
Yeah.
But in reality, they don't fucking talk to each other. So I don't
Yeah.
I don't really like the forced friendship.
To me, they always seem like more of like kind of the bad kids in the class. Because you had the girl that's the popular cheerleaders trying to cut class. The other guy's
Texting.
talking about, like, the titty bar and breaking shit with the bat. And his best friend's obviously the black kid because they're always together. So that's kind of, I see
It's
them
the
as
white
like...
it's the white born nerd that throws me off the whole thing. I'm like, what the fuck is this kid doing here?
But again, they're just the kids, and it's just that give you that scene of like, hey, we love our teacher. We want to support him.
Yeah, I get it. I just
And
it
the
feels,
principal gets a funny moment.
It
But I
just
give you
feels
that.
forced to me, and every time I watch
always-
them interact, I'm like, fuck these guys.
I actually always think when he puts his arm around the girl when they're walking in the hallway, they're
Yeah.
all defeated. That's where I'm like, that was some note that like the director gave, like, hey, when you walk out, put your arm around her because you guys are dating or something like that. Like on the spot.
Uh-huh.
It just feels awkward to
weird.
me. But the kids get progressively better for me as the movie goes on.
Okay, I can see that
As far
for
as
sure.
like their scenes, I think.
Our next scene is the next day. Sparta is fucking here, man. They're all the fighters are in the back, and Tommy's warming up, and he has a guy who comes in and he goes, 5-minute warning. And we do get addressed at this point where somebody says, it was the announcers actually.
They're
The announcers,
talking about-
Crazy Eddie.
Yeah.
All I think of. I saw him and I was
Crazy,
like,
yeah,
it's
Crazy
Eddie.
Eddie.
Yeah.
Crazy Eddie from The Hangover. He goes, nobody knows who Tommy Reardon is. Nobody.
Which
who
he
the
has
fuck is
actually,
this
he has a
guy?
podcast with an ex-UFC fighter too. He's like in the fight
Yeah,
game.
he's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's not-
Crazy. He's like, he definitely, I think, dabbles with cocaine. He's a guy, dude. He's a fucking dude.
What a fucking accusation,
Well-
man. What if he's just super hyped?
Oh, I mean, you watch enough of those podcasts, you go, I don't know, man. I mean, he was Crazy
No,
Eddie.
I agree. I agree. I know what you're
Shot
talking about.
Eddie.
But Tommy tells, Tommy starts walking out to the mat or the octagon, and Patty puts his hand on Tommy, and Tommy fucking
Smacks him, dude.
yeah, he's like, don't touch
Yeah,
me.
don't
In
fucking touch
very
me.
aggressive voice, and I always like, oh my god, fucking calm down, dude. But they walk out to the octagon,
Dude,
and
he's literally Mike Tyson, dude. There's no bells and whistles,
Nope.
no
There's-
music, no logos, no uniform. He's there to whoop somebody's ass.
And he fights a no-name. We don't know who this guy is. It's just the first fighter that he's going against. And he walks in. They start the match. One hit, this dude is fucking knocked out.
Yeah. Oh, it's one of the coolest one punches of all. Like the whole dude's body fucking crumbles, dude. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
But he knocks this dude out, and before the match is even called, fucking Tommy walks out of this gate.
Yeah, he like punches the door open and just is gone. Like no press conference, no holding his hand up. Like he knocks the dude clean fucking out, sees he's not getting up, and leaves.
It's
During
funny.
this time, the announcers also talk about how Tommy didn't claim a medal for his act in the military.
Oh, that's
And
right.
that's
yes.
like a little clue that's like, well, that's kind of strange. But at the same time, too, it's like this guy really just wants no attention, no accolades or anything. Like he's all about that fucking business. And it's a dominating for like the Mad Dog fight was quick. This was way quicker as far as like the first time we see
Yeah.
him fight Mad Dog and he whoops his ass very easily. this is literally one punch. This dude crippled, and it's over, dude.
It really is fast. But yeah, he walks out of the octagon, and we jump to Brendan, and he's in the back, and he's warming up, and he gets a 5-minute warning. And he is fucking nervous, super nervous.
You can tell he's contemplating, like, damn, did I bite off more than I can chew?
Yeah, and it's not just necessarily I can't do this. It's
the stakes are so high for him.
They really are. And
like,
that's
if
what it
he
is.
loses, because it's a one elimination tournament. That's like the whole thing too. So if he loses, his wife is worried he's going to get killed. Frank's worried about his reputation and also his safety.
Yes.
And now he's also worried about losing that. Like, if he loses, the house is gone.
Yep.
That's, at the end of the day, he loses one match, house is done, it's over. So there's just so much pressure. And this is where you get the great coach moment from Frank of, like, Frank's like, in this moment where he sees Brendan is starting to question himself, he's like, you know you can do this. Like, and he nods and he's like, I want you to fucking say it.
Yep.
Like, let's go. And then he gives the, like, I can do this. And it's that moment of, like, thank God for Frank, dude.
Yep, absolutely. And this is one of those things, like you said, like, Frank Grillo, awesome. Amazing.
His performance
Wonderful.
in this, I can't say it enough. Like, he's just a coach, but he's a wonderful character in this movie.
He really is.
I love him in this movie.
He really is. So we jump to them walking out, and he's walking out to Beethoven. He's got classical music on.
And the announcers are clowning him. And
they are.
They're going nuts because they're like, they know who he is because they're MMA announcers. And they're like, Brendan Conlon, like, I remember him being fucking a nobody when he was a fighter. Like, what in the fuck is he doing here? He got here off a scratch result because Frank pulled some string. Like, all of the shit talk they can talk. They're making fun of his Beethoven music.
Yep.
They're everything
Which
they can do.
is so
they're doing.
crazy because they mention they take these jabs at Frank, but they also say later on, to be a fly on the wall and hear what Frank is saying to him. I would love to be there. So they admire him to some degree, but they
admire
let him take
Frank.
the jabs,
They
yeah.
admire Frank a lot, but they have no faith in Brendan.
Before Brendan does get his into the octagon, we see that Patty is there, and it's a really nice scene,
moment too,
because he looks at Brendan on the sidelines and he says, "Go get him,"
and gives him a thumbs up.
Yes,
and that's it. And Brendan doesn't give him like a "Hey, thanks, Dad." He gives him like that look that he acknowledges what Patty just did. And it's not even what he said to him. It's if you peel, obviously he said, go get him, good luck, son. But when you peel it back, you have to realize Brendan's whole contention for his dad this entire time is like, you didn't give a fuck about me. You didn't care about anything. You only cared about Tommy. And now his dad's there to watch him walk out of the tunnel.
This is the moment in movies where the kid is like, Dad, you never show up to my baseball games. And this is the moment that he showed up. And it means so much to Brendan.
It hits so much harder because they don't spell it out for you like that.
Yes.
There's no big conversation about it. It's him just saying, go get him. And Brendan gives him this look kind of like, what are you doing here? But at the same time, like, holy shit, my dad's kind of here. And he just, that's it. And just walks out. And Patty doesn't walk out with him because he's with Tommy and all that shit. But it's just that in the tunnel, gives him the little thumbs up, go get him. And it's that moment of like, Patty is trying. He really Patty's
is.
trying
He
everything
really
he
is.
can to mend the relationship with both his sons. It's
is.
crazy.
We get a cutaway here, and we see that Tess is kind of staring at her phone, and we see that Patty's in the back, or not Patty's in the back, like in the back rooms, but Patty's standing on the sidelines.
He's
still.
watching.
He's watching his son. He's their support, as well as seeing Principal Zito. He's in his living room and he's watching
that, dude.
Yeah,
he's like
supporting his friend.
He's cluing his wife in from the other room. He's like, he's gonna get it. He's gonna get it. Like it's hilarious.
It is so
the
cool.
guy he fights in the movie, they call him Midnight Lee.
Yes,
he's a real MMA fighter, by the way. Anthony Johnson. Yeah.
Nice.
So there's a lot of like Kurt Angle, like a lot of real fighter type people make their little appearances in this movie. Yeah.
Like Tyler said, Brendan fights this Midnight guy, Midnight Lee.
Midnight Lee.
Okay, and they start the fight, and Brandon kind of gets his
ass
kicked.
whooped the first round.
He gets his first round. He gets his ass whooped by this guy, and Frank's yelling calls to him.
He almost gets tapped out in the first round.
He does.
Like he's on the verge of fucking passing out, and Frank's like screaming, "Don't you tap out!
Don't
like,
you tap out?
Because when there's 10 seconds left in the fight, if you don't know fighting and boxing, they clap. There's like a sound.
Yeah, Sam said she wants that job.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's not that hard to get. It's probably good. Probably pays pretty decent too. But when you hear that like, that's them telling you have 10 seconds left before the fight is over.
Yeah.
So once he hears that, Frank knows he's just got to make it 10 seconds and we can get out of this round and reset.
We get a break. Yeah.
So you get that moment of, is Brendan going to tap in the first round of his first fight? And he's like going out of consciousness and the bell rings and he makes it through the round.
When Brendan's in that hold, Frank is yelling out calls to him like, hey, fucking turn your hips.
Yeah, he's coaching him.
And Brendan's not listening to shit, which is one of those things that calls back when he said, I don't want to train you because the last time I trained you, you don't fucking listen to me. You don't do anything that I tell you to do. Brendan goes 2 rounds with this guy, and he ends up winning because of a hold.
Yeah, he taps him out.
And Midnight taps out, which is cool because you get that it's consistent. Every time Brendan fights somebody, they tap out. And that's what
like I said, that's his style. He's he's all about the ground and
Holds
submission
and shit,
game.
yeah.
Tess gets a text.
Oh, she does get a text.
Tex
yes,
gets
absolutely.
a test that just says I won, and she goes nuts. Like, she's super, super happy. So it's that idea of, like, she doesn't want her husband fucking obviously doing this, but since he's there, he better fucking win. You know? So, like, yeah, she gets a text and goes absolutely nuts that he won.
And then we get a fighting montage.
Correct.
We get to see Koba winning fights.
Mad Dog winning.
Yes, Mad Dog's winning, and
Patty.
something that's worth noting about Koba's fight is that so we don't get to see much of Koba fighting until right now, and we see that Koba is not a one-hit knockout like Tommy is, but he's way more
He's
vicious.
brutal.
Yes,
He gets on top of dudes and hits, and then like has to get kind of pulled off, that kind of shit. Like, and the guy that he knocks out like isn't moving, so they're like, "Oh, we need medical attention." Like they hint like, "Did Koba just kill this guy?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like he's another like animal.
Yeah,
where
like
he's,
you see Koba pick a guy up and just fucking
he
slam him
does a
down.
lot of wrestling, like power bombs and suplex type bullshit. Like it's Kurt Angle, so it works and it looks beautiful. But like he's a vicious, powerful Russian.
Yeah, we get to see Brennan win a few more fights as well.
And we also see Patty
from another tap out as well.
But before that, you see another Patty, and Patty does the same exact thing where he does the thumbs up, and then we also get, after Brendan wins, he's going to he's walking up the thing, and Patty's in the crowd again, and he's like, "Brendan, way to go, way to go!" And Brendan has like a blackout, just like all the adrenaline's running, and he's like, "I'm doing this for me, I'm doing this for me," and right away, Patty doesn't try to say anything. He's just like, "Yep. Get him, son." Like he's just giving him like
one of those things,
positive reinforcement. Like, I'm
planting
here.
those seeds of.
Yep, it's awesome.
I'm
it's
here
a cool
for you, man.
moment.
Tommy has another win of a vicious beatdown as well.
Yep,
and he walks out of the cage again before the match is called.
By now, Tess is also watching on TV. So she's starting to like get into all of the she's starting to buy in. But again, Tommy fucking destroys the dude again, kicks the cage open, walks straight out. But now the crowd is like infatuated with Tommy.
Yeah, they love it.
Chanting Tommy. He is who they all want in the tournament now, which is everything Tommy doesn't want. As we've seen this whole movie, he wants no part of any of this. So it's all that starting to build. It's awesome.
Now we jump. This is the end of Sparta for the night because, like Sam had said earlier, this is a 2-night thing, and this is the end of the first night.
I think it said something about 4 fights in one night.
4 fights a night.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more than that, but
whatever.
For like each fighter, I'm saying.
Oh, 4 nights each fighter.
Yes.
Or 4 fights each fighter.
Yes.
That sounds about right. We jump to this next scene, and it's Tommy, who's playing at a slot machine. He's playing slots, and Patty's coming down in the elevator, and Patty comes, sits next to Tommy, and he says, "Oh, you can't sleep." And he tells Tommy he's proud. He's like, "I'm proud of you for rescuing that kid." He's bringing this old thing up because he hasn't talked to him.
He says, like, I know what else is bothering you. And, like, I just want you to know, I know the war shit's bothering you, but I'm really proud. And if you want to talk about anything, I was a vet. I was there. I was in a war. If you feel like you can talk to anyone, I'm the guy that you can talk to because I'm not going to judge you or any of that shit. And
this is where he says, "I'm proud of."
I think he says, "Tommy, what happened?"
Yeah,
exactly.
He says, "I'm proud of you, man. What happened? You rescued that kid, and this is Tommy says, "Why are you proud of me? For deserting my unit?"
Yep.
And we get this fucking big bomb, man.
Yep.
Like he's those. I was on my way out of town. I was leaving, and I saw that happening. And what was I supposed to do? Just let him drown?
And right away, Patty's like, no, like, you did the right thing. You got to save him and all that. But military speak, you can't go disobeying. If you have orders to go to here and you decide, no, I'm going to go over here, that gets you in big trouble. That's not how the military
The only
works.
person getting away with that is fucking Maverick. He's the only one who could defy fucking military personnel.
Correct, and that's usually like when he's on like the training sessions when they're approving his next plane. Like this is in the middle of war where people are dying.
Yeah.
Like you can't do whatever you want and go rogue, so to say. But yeah, Tommy has that moment of like, I saw these guys drowning. What the fuck was I supposed to do? You know, and so I did what I did, and then I fucking took off, and then the light bulb flicks in Patty of like, oh shit, this is why you go by Reardon.
Yep.
This is why they can't, when they search you on the internet, they can't find anything in your service record because you're AWOL. You're
Tommy Conlon.
You're literally you're Tommy Conlon, and you've been AWOL, where you just kind of disappeared from the military because
they assumed he
from
died with everybody else in his unit. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. They said like that what happened when he came for you or
With
whatever,
Matty.
and he said that they took friendly fire, and he's the only one that kind of made it out or whatever, and that like when they were coming for him, he took off because he knew that he was fucked because of disobeying orders, helping that other platoon.
Yep. And Patty says, I'm trying. I'm here for you. And Tommy tells him it's too late for that.
Yeah, he doesn't need the father now. He needed that shit when he was a young kid, but now he's like, whatever happened already happened, bro. Like, I am who I am, and that's one of the moments where you're like, oh Jesus, like
this
tough,
scene,
man.
and the next scene are the reason why Nick Nolte
100%,
was up
Nominated.
for
100.
Yes,
There's not a
nominations.
debate at my. This acting breaks your fucking heart, man.
Really does.
Because this is the point, like, Tommy said a lot of, like, venomous, really hateful shit, and this is the moment, though, that, like, everything he starts saying to Patty, it just, like, cuts Patty deep.
It does.
It's just really, because at this point, Tommy's fucking stressed, he's over it all, he's tired of his man playing these, like, little games, even though his dad's really trying to help.
And
Tommy wants no fucking part of this shit.
And at this point, it's all Tommy's fucking game anyways. He doesn't even need Patty at this point. He's already in Sparta. He doesn't need any more training. He knows he's knocking motherfuckers out. He feels very confident. And he tells him, he goes, the only thing I have in common
with Brendan,
with my brother Brendan, is that we both have no use for you. Yeah. And that's one of the things that fucking gets him.
Patty like starts getting choked up, and he says like, "Don't say that," and that kind of shit. And it's like, oh,
you know what? Yeah,
no.
I do like you better when you were drunk, is what he says. And he
At
goes,
least you had a balls when you.
Yeah.
And it's like now you're just a poor preacher begging with your cup.
Yep. And he tells Tommy, just get out of here. And he was like, get the fuck out of here. And he throws his cup of coins.
He has a cup of coins, and he goes, here, since you're a beggar with a cup, here's a cup. And that's the whole thing. And like, the whole time Patty's like, Tommy, don't do this.
Yep.
Like, it's okay. Like, because Tommy's having an emotional moment. And he freaks out, and Patty just is like broken.
Yeah.
It is.
It breaks you as a
It's
fucking
so
watcher.
sad.
As somebody watching, you're like, oh my God. And
Nick Nolte, dude.
His face sells the whole
It looks like
fucking
actual,
thing.
like he's actually having a conversation with his kid. It's insane, and Tommy still has that fucking hard look on his face, like he broke his old man. His old man walks away.
He got what he wanted in a way, because like you said, he does walk away. But Tommy, right after he walks away, he throws this coin. Like,
he can tell that conversation got out of hand, but
you could tell he's conflicted. Like, he doesn't know how to feel, because it's like, I'd be pissed off too. I'd be pissed off being like, where the fuck were you when I was 14 years old or when mom was alive? It's like, if you were like this before, my mom possibly wouldn't be dead right now. So, but at this, like, once you see that he's changing, it's like, I don't know. I want to be a dick to you, but I could tell that you are different.
He got what he wanted, but when he got what he wanted, he was like, fuck, maybe I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Because we jump to the next morning, and we see the hotel room is kind of disheveled, and Patty's walking around listening to his audiobooks, and then we see that There's empty
mini bar
bottles lying around, so we
And
know.
Patty's just
fuck.
like repeating the same lines over and over
Yeah,
again.
he's yelling, "Stop the ship!" He's talking to his audiobook. He's like, "Stop the ship! Stop the ship!" And
He's reciting lines from Moby Dick.
yeah, Patty's super drunk, and Tommy wakes
he's
up from
fucked
this.
up. Yeah, because they have like an adjoining room. They
Yeah.
like share rooms.
They share like a living room
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
So Tommy's staring at his dad,
and
he
Patty's
realizes-
clutching like the bottle of Jameson. He's got that giant bottle of Jameson in his hand too.
And Tommy stares at his dad while he's doing this, while he's watching he's reacting to this of just
Taking it in.
he's taking in the fact that what he said to his dad has
He
driven
just
his dad to
blew
this.
3 years of sobriety because
Yeah.
of the comment he made. That's exactly what happened. Like
And his
you can tell-
dad is
yeah.
inches from his face yelling,
That's-
"Stop the
oh.
ship!" And you're just
He turns and
He calls him Ahab.
Yeah, he locks eyes with fucking Tommy and like starts going on like the rant of like you're the devil essentially, of like not mad but like you're the
Yeah.
one that made this kind of happen. And Tommy's just like, he doesn't get super emotional or anything, but you see again, Tom Hardy's so fucking good in this movie.
he really
He
is.
does just these little things where you can tell like Tommy realizes the gravity of the situation and what's going on right now, and that like in a weird way he's got to be the bigger man for his dad right now. Like his dad needs something so bad, and that he's got to be the one to kind of provide it, because like the wheels have
He
fallen
realizes
off.
like you did change. You are like you need
Yeah,
to stay
he,
on the
like-
track you were on.
Yeah, it's again, and this is why he was nominated. Nick Nolte was nominated, because
Yep.
this scene alone, again, is not much is said, but it's just he is a fucking mess, and it's just a very heavy, powerful scene of seeing these two absolute testosterone like alpha males, like just super super vulnerable.
Yep.
Like this, just all of that shit is gone, and they're just Nick Nolte's crying like a baby, and Tom Hardy's just the son that's trying to figure out like what the fuck do I do now.
Yeah, he takes the bottle from his dad
Yeah.
and he takes his audiobook and his headphones off of him, and he does hug him. He hugs him.
He does something like
then
cooler than hugging him,
and
like,
then he cuddles him in bed. He
Yeah,
kind
he,
of wraps
like-
his legs and his arms around him, and he
like puts him in his lap, like he's like sitting bed up against it. And
Yeah.
The
pulls,
way he pulls him, like even just that scene alone.
yeah,
where
he
just
like
pulls
he
him
pulls
up
him
like a child.
yeah, and just like is holding him. Like
if he
while
would have
Nick's
just
fucked up.
put him to bed, the scene would have
Nope.
been way different.
doesn't
but the
hit
fact that
nearly
he
as hard.
lets his dad pass
Sleep on
out
him.
on him and
Yeah.
sleep on him, you're just like,
And he's having moments too. He's like when he's like rubbing his hair and like like patting his head and stuff. You can
Folds
tell
his hands together.
You can tell Tommy, like in that moment, him and his dad's relationship took a big step.
yeah.
like they.
And right before Patty passes out, Patty tells him, I always loved you and your brother.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of that scene.
My boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we jump back to Sparta. This is the second night now of Sparta, and the crowd is cheering for Tommy. The Marines are there. They're
This is
singing
cool.
an anthem.
They
They're-
sing the like Marine Corps anthem.
Yeah,
or
'cause
whatever you
they're-
call it.
because Tommy's coming out. He's the first fight of the night, and they're all singing because they do know. They're like, oh, here he comes again with no music. And they go, no, wait, there's music, but
'Cause now
it's
there's
not
all
being
their
played
Marine-
through the
There's
PA.
all these Marines there.
They're in
and,
uniform.
There's no Patty.
Nope.
No Patty to be seen, so he's by himself.
And this is a cool fight because this is his fight with Mad Dog.
dude.
This is their rematch that Mad Dog has
So
been
funny.
waiting for. Mad Dog's like fucking running around the octagon.
He
and
barks
he's-
at him when he
Yeah.
passes him, and Tommy just looks at him like, "You motherfucker!"
He's like, it's
dude."
not gonna happen
Yeah.
again. And
Okay.
they fucking set this up, and the ref comes out and he goes, "I want a good, clean fight.
Touch gloves, all that
head
bullshit.
back, and come out clean, come out fighting."
And-
Tommy doesn't even let him swing.
No, it
he
is.
fucking knocks him
He
out.
tackles him. He
Yep.
straight up. He just straight up spears him, gets him on top of him, and gets his arms pinned, and just starts like a Christmas Story. Any movie that the
Yeah.
bully gets beat up and the nerd finally gets on top of him and is just swinging as like many times as he can. This is what Tommy's trying to kill
Yep.
this dude. Because
They
you
got-
also have to realize.
It's like
Sorry, I don't
Donkey
mean to cut
Kong
you off.
arms, man.
Yeah, but it's like you have to realize like Tommy's letting out so much
He is.
shit at this point. Like
If he
it's
didn't
not
have that
just
thing
Mad
From
Dog.
last night.
If
It's
he
not just Mad
Yeah,
Dog.
if he
Mad
didn't have
Dog's
that
the
with his
icing on the
dad,
cake.
if he didn't have that thing with his dad, he wouldn't have done as bad
This
as
is
he did. He
this
would've
is
just whooped
the
his ass.
first time that he, in a way, loses control. Because all the other fights, he knocks dudes straight the fuck out, gets up, and leaves. This one, he spears him, gets on top of him, and the ref kind of has to pull him off at one point.
Well, this is a conflict in a way because his coach, Coach Colt, is also Mad Dog's coach. So he's the one that says, end the fight.
Yeah,
end the fight. Stop it.
Everyone starts saying like, "Yo, throw the towel in." Like this is
Yeah.
this is starting to get ugly really quick. You need to pull him off, and then they finally break it up and literally pull Tommy off. And again, in same fashion, he gets up like a wild animal, kicks the goddamn cage open, and he's gone.
Yep.
Just off into the tunnel again. It's amazing. Every time he does the same shit every fight, and it just gets better and better. It's awesome.
Yeah. So the next scene is we see these kids, the high school kids, and they're in a theater. They're like a drive-in theater.
Yep.
And they're watching Sparta. And while they're there, Principal Zito shows up.
Yeah, and he's super like proud. You can tell he's like, I'm happy you guys put this shit together. Like
clapping,
good for
like,
you.
yeah.
Because he's also fully into the fight now
He
too.
is.
He's been watching it at home on pay-per-view. Like
Him and his wife,
yeah.
like.
Yep, it's awesome.
And this is a wonderful introduction for them to be watching because this is our big fight of
Yep.
Brendan fighting Koba.
Yep.
So right before they start the fight, Frank tells Brendan, "Hey, look over there. Look past the stage, second row." And Brendan looks over and we see that Tess has come.
Yep.
She is there. She's in the crowd.
There to
She's cheering
support
him
him.
on. And he's shocked. And it's wonderful.
It's what he needs. He's about to fight Koba.
Yes.
Like that's what he needed.
They start the fight, and in round one, Koba beats
Brendan
his
gets the fuck beat out of
ass.
him.
He does.
There's no other way around it. He gets thrown around like a rag doll. He literally gets like thrown like
Into the cage.
feet
Yeah.
away from
And
fucking Koba. It's
I
crazy.
think there's one or two instances where Brennan does get a hit on Koba's face, but it looks like Koba doesn't even feel it.
No.
He just continues to go beating
He
his ass.
suplexes the fuck out of Brendan multiple
Yeah.
times. You just fucking it's a bad spot for Brendan.
The announcers do mention that nobody has ever lasted one round
Correct.
with Koba.
Correct.
So the fact that Brandon even
Because he
goes
does make it
into
out
a
of
round
round
two.
one.
Yes,
he makes
he
it out of
does.
round one. But all the announcers also say like that was so one-sided that like Brendan should seriously consider
Not
not
doing
fighting.
round two,
Like
yeah.
this is
Yeah.
going to get ugly. Like there's no reason he should be in there if this is what it's going to be like. Like
Yes.
he's going to get seriously hurt because it was a no competition. What's his fucking name? Koba just whooped his fucking ass.
Yes. So they do start a second round, and Brendan does slightly better than he did in the first
But still
round.
gets demolished. He's
Yes.
still getting his ass.
Gets his
whooped.
ass whooped. And then when they end round two is when we get to see Frank talking to Brennan, and he's like, "Look, man, why are we here? If you don't knock Koba out, what was the point of even coming? If you want, we'll throw in the fucking towel.
Yeah, he
We
gives
can
them
end
that
this right
like,
now."
hey, we had a good run. You proved a lot of people wrong and all that shit. Like, there's no if you don't.
There's
in
no
your
shame
heart,
in walking away
If
right
you're
now.
in your heart, don't think you can do this. There's no reason in starting this next round because you're gonna get fucked up.
Why go another round and get your ass whooped?
Correct. He's like, we'll
You're not
just go
proving
home.
anything.
We're good. It's all good, man. And then he hits him with the if you don't fucking knock him out because you know he's 2 rounds down.
Yep.
He lost those 2 rounds and they're only like 3 or 4 round
say.
matches. I think they're 4, but not many go to the 4th round.
No.
And he basically gives him the like if you don't knock his ass out, you lose this fight. And if you don't knock him out, you lose your home.
Yep.
And he says, and once he says that, Brendan's like face, like you get that like the switch flipped.
It was the
Like,
motivation he needed.
that's exactly what he needed Frank to tell him to be able
It's
to
like that,
continue
that
on.
savage survival instinct of like, yeah, I need my house.
Yeah.
So
and then round 3 starts.
Yep, they start round 3 and they're trading punches
It's
now.
back and
they're
forth
going
now.
back and forth, and you're like, "Oh shit!" Even the announcers are like, "We gotta fucking fight."
Yep.
And Brennan tosses this. He's got him in a hold where Koba's standing behind him, got his arms around him, and Brennan throws this fucking elbow at him. You could see it in Koba's face that he's fucked up. He kind of knocked him out. He's tossing him off his vertigo for a second, and Frank he gets him into a hole, and Frank tells
He gets him in a knee lock.
Frank
which
tells Brennan, break it.
He just
break
keeps.
the
That's
fucking
one of
knee."
my favorite parts. He's just screaming, "Break it, break it!" It's
Yep.
just like that moment of like, if he's not gonna tap, break his goddamn leg.
Yeah, because
dude.
then he's not going to fight. He
Correct.
can't fight once he's broken. So before he even gets the opportunity to break his leg, Koba taps out.
Which is the biggest thing of all time. Because
Yep.
this is a dude who's never had a guy make it past the first round.
Yep.
Now, not only did he get knocked out, because the knockouts happen. You catch a punch on the wrong,
Temple,
wrong spot in your
something.
chin or whatever, you can go down.
Yeah.
A submission is a straight up, you got beat, bro.
You got skilled, yeah.
You got beat and you had to tap. You had to willingly submit.
He made that decision of, do I really want my fucking knee broken right now?
Yeah, and he said, no, I don't. And so he taps, and it's like Brendan just won the tournament.
Yep.
Everyone is freaking the fuck out.
And Brendan is so stoked about it. I love this because he hugs the ref. And I thought that was so funny.
It's a very wholesome moment.
I never noticed it until this watch that he
Really?
hugs the ref. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, look how fucking stoked he is about this. They end that scene, they end that fight, and this is where the news pops up and says, just so everybody knows, Tommy Reardon is actually Tommy Conlon.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy Conlon went AWOL. He left the Marines because Tommy watched all of his comrades die.
They interview the wife again.
Yes, the wife is actually coming in an interview, and she says, Tommy promised all of his winnings, and
Pledged it to the
he
family.
pledged it to this family if he wins, and Tommy will be arrested after the match, is
Which
what they say.
is-
at the
But
end
they
of
said
it
he's
all.
going to be taken into custody.
Yeah,
Custody.
which
Yeah,
he's
not
going to the
arrested.
break. He's
Yeah,
going
he's
to
gonna be
military
arrested.
jail,
Yeah.
which sucks. It's even worse as jail. And so this is when it's like, God damn. Like, this is when you're like, damn, Tommy's not an asshole. Like, now the system is a fucking asshole. Because it's
Yep.
like he was,
Yeah.
his whole platoon got killed. He was on his way back from that. And on his way back came across these dudes. And that's when he decided to go save
He
their
still
lives.
saved his brothers.
Because his whole platoon died, and then his act of saving someone else is what made him AWOL in their
Yeah.
eyes. And that's when he was like, well, fuck this, man. Like, and it's just like, goddamn, like his whole team died. He saved all these people, and they still want to fucking arrest this dude.
When
because
they're
he
the
didn't
people that
listen.
bombed down and killed their own.
Correct, because
Yeah.
she reveals it was friendly fire and all this shit, and that, like, it's just like, goddamn, like, Tommy is in a shitty spot.
Yep.
And now everyone knows who he is. There's no hiding it. They already have all these other military police-looking guys there now, so you're like, they're there in the stadium, and it's just like, fuck, Tommy's now fucked kind of no matter what. So Tommy's like, I'm going to go win this money for... Because they say, like, he's already claimed he will be taken into custody after the match. He claims all of his winnings will go to Manny's family.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jesus, man.
And then at the end of all that,
The bombshell
they
that
reiterate,
we've known the whole movie,
Yes.
but now everyone's learning for the first time.
They reiterate the fact that his last name is Conlon. So they say, just so everybody knows, these two men that are going into the final are brothers.
Yeah, and it's that, like, record scratch moment where everyone who didn't know already is like,
Oh my
shit.
Yeah, I like seeing all the high school kids in this
Yeah.
in this scene because they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, like the stakes instantly get higher.
Yes.
You realize, like, oh, wow.
So Patty wakes up at this point and he starts getting his shit on and he gets into a cab and he starts heading over.
Yeah, because he sees the leak of all of Tommy
Yes.
information, so he knows, like, oh shit is hitting the fan, kind of thing.
They're all in the back and Tess asks Brandon, what are you gonna do? And he
love
goes, well, I'm gonna
Fight
fight
him,
the fuck you think?
dude. Oh, I love it, dude.
Brendan,
and he
yeah.
looks like fucking hell too. Brendan,
He just fought Koba.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and you got to think Tommy has thrown 3 punches this whole tournament. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like Tommy is absolutely untouched, fresh.
You
and
could see
Brendan,
it. Tess and Frank's face are like,
Brendan has gone through so many rounds and just looks like shit. And Brendan's like, I'm gonna go fucking fight my brother. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? The fireworks are gonna happen.
Yep.
It is what it is.
I gotta do it.
So Brendan and Tommy make their way to the octagon. The crowd is still fucking wild
All
for Tommy.
Tommy. All
And now because they know that what he's done for his comrades, they're fucking super jazzed about
Yep.
it. But before fighting, Brendan asks Tommy, where's
Dad?
Pops?
Yeah.
And Tommy just fucking deflects that
Yep.
question. He just walks the other way.
And Brendan looks kind of confused, like,
Yep.
what? This doesn't feel right. Something's up, kind of thing.
So they start the first round, and
In typical fashion,
Yep.
Brendan gets his ass whooped in the first round.
that's right. Tommy beats his ass,
And he's angry. It's like angry fighting. Like, Tommy's it's when two, like, if you've ever grown up and seen two brothers actually like go at it, like when you're younger, like it's a different type of fight. When two brothers get into an actual like fist fight, it's way different than when they're fighting somebody else. It gets brutal very quickly, and Tommy is just unloading punches on Brendan. He's trying to fuck Brendan up.
Right at the end of this round is also when Tommy fucking puts a cheap shot into it.
Well, it's right at the end. As soon as the whistle blows, and it's a good punch too. It's not just he fucking clocks.
Well, because
Brendan.
they end the round and you're supposed to be able to let your guard down,
Yep.
put your arms down and everything, and fucking Tommy delivers one right across the face.
And the funny thing is, it pisses Brendan off. Like, Brendan gets up and is mad. It's not like he's like knocked out. Like, Brendan is fucking mad that he took the cheap shot. Frank starts freaking out on the ref and is like, "Do your fucking job, Josh. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?" It's a very emotionally charged scene, and this is what I love about this last fight. Brendan's always goes to his chair and he's getting his talk. He's getting the ice. He's getting all the shit from his coach, and Tommy is walking around like in a lion caged at a zoo. Like, he's just walking around
and he's pacing, like, watching his prey.
He's shaking his head off. Like, he looks like a crazy person. Like, you can tell there's so much shit going on in his head and just anger and all this.
Today is not a good day.
No,
for Tommy.
this is like Joker one bad day shit. Like, he's losing it, and he's just walking back and forth, staring at Brendan like.
And Brendan's not even
fucking kill you.
And Brendan's not even paying attention to what Frank's telling him at this point. He's
eyeballs
locked on Tommy.
Yep. He looks like an animal. It's fucking awesome. And then Frank hits him with the like, "This is not your brother. Like, this whole brother bullshit. Like, you need to go out there and fucking beat his ass."
Yep.
Need to worry about that later.
Yep.
They start round 2, and Brandon gets an ass whooping again.
He does a little better, but it's not much. He gets his ass handed to him once again.
My note on this one, I'm not sure how much, but I just put Tommy as a machine gun of punches is what I put in this one. So
yeah, he's in the, like, it's not even technical fighting like he was used to. Like, Tommy's trying to hit him with everything that he can, dude.
You know that if you've seen any kind of fighting or wrestling or boxing movie, you've heard them say, "Just let the fucking dude tire his ass out. Let him throw the punches."
I would say, but like
Tommy's a fucking animal.
Tommy has zero stamina issues in this fight. The reason all the shit plays out in the fight has nothing to do with like stamina issues and things like that. That's what I love too. It's like Tommy's just gonna keep coming at him as possibly hard as they can. And this is after round 2, they fucking ding the bell and all that shit, and they both kind of go at each other after the bell. They're like pushing each other, and Brendan's like, "Come on, like, you want to keep going? Let's go." And Tommy's screaming back at him, so it's that whole moment of like, he kind of pissed his big brother off. Like, he pissed Brendan off, and Brendan's ready to go now.
I think this is the part where the announcers are like, "Mom, lock up your china. The boys are at it again," or something. It's a funny line. They start round 3, and Tommy hands out another ass whooping. In this match, or this round in particular, you see the pain behind Tommy's punches. You kind of see in his face that what he's doing is not, with every punch, it's not just a punch. It's not just taking out an opponent. It's this is why I'm hitting you. This is the reason why, for this particular reason of, this is you leaving mom. This is this situation. And Brennan gets a hold on him in the middle of this.
He gets like an arm hold on him.
Because like I was saying, it kind of seems like Tommy's fighting with more emotion,
correct,
rather than just hitting him.
What they always tell you in Don't Fight is like you can't fight like angry. You're not supposed to fight blind rage, because that's when you're throwing shit and you make dumb mistakes. And Brendan's kind of waiting on it. He's taking it all, and then he just grabs his arm and he's got Tommy all of a sudden, and Tommy's not expecting it.
Nope.
So he's all fucked up in a bar. And some of my favorites, Brendan's like begging him, like, "Tap out, bro. You need to tap out because I got your arm." And all the announcers instantly are like, "He's got it locked in. He's got it locked in." And like
Frank's
yelling at him, and Tommy's just like, or Brendan's like, "Tommy, tap out." And Tommy, we learned very quickly, is no Koba. No. And decides, "You want me to tap out? Break my goddamn arm. If you want to keep going."
Doesn't he go and punch Brendan in the face?
Well, yeah.
And then he gets pissed.
Yeah, he just keeps going. Like, there's just no signs of tapping out. So Brendan fucking sits on it, and you hear that pop. Boom. And
right at the end of the round. So I don't
round ends
because I'm not sure how it works in this sport. Like, if they know that it's broken, do they allow them to fight?
Well, that's the thing. In a real fight, I don't think I don't know if they're willing to go and they still feel like they can. They might let it go. But I think
But
The way
realistically,
that it's insinuating in this movie, at least,
Like this
is
dude's
that
shoulder is
because
one of them have to call it off.
Yes.
Like
Okay.
the ref's not gonna. In this movie, it's insinuated the ref's not gonna fucking really
determine if you can fight
I don't
or
know
not.
it's
because
$5 million. I'm pretty sure
at
that
the
they're going to be
same
like the
time,
ref doesn't have a
too-
fucking say.
At the same time, too, that's Brendan's whole thing, though, because he goes back to the corner right after the bell rings, and Brendan is a mess. Brendan, like,
Yeah, he's like I popped
Brendan's
it.
like,
he's
I
like
popped it. He's
it.
like, I heard the pop, and Frank right away is like, good, go fucking pop the other arm.
you do the other
but
one.
you can tell Brendan is just like, it's hitting him like, I literally just broke my little brother. I snapped my little brother's arm.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is getting crazy. And Tommy, like the fucking animal
Yep.
he is standing in the corner with
Yeah.
a dead arm, just looking at Brendan
with
like,
one arm up.
And Brendan, oh
Well,
my
Brendan
God,
Brendan goes,
dude.
you know, when you had just said, you know, Brendan says, you know, I popped his arm, and Frank says, I want you to pop the other one. Brendan looks at
Yeah.
Josh. He goes to tell Josh, like, hey, he wants to tell me. And Brendan goes, or Frank goes, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I think that they would have called
Yeah,
the
that's
fight
where
off.
I was gonna say it could be something like that where he may have examined him more or whatever. But like you could tell Tommy's
Frank-
in a ton of fucking pain, but he doesn't look like he got his arm just
Yeah.
snapped. Like
And Frank knows, like, whoa, hold the fuck on. If you call
we're
this match,
close.
you're not going to get the $5 million. I don't think. I don't
Well,
think they
no,
might.
I don't
he
know.
might still
but-
get
and
it.
the whole idea is like now you're fighting a guy with one arm. Like you can go end
Yeah.
this dude. Like this is a big advantage for you to go
You got
out
an easy
there
W
and,
right now.
and win this. Like it's so close. Don't fuck any of this up. Like you have to get over it and fucking go do it, man.
Yeah. So they get ready to start the
Oh,
next
this
round.
is another hilarious
and
moment. He's just like,
Brendan's like,
Tommy,
what are you
Tommy,
doing?
what are you doing? Stop it. Shut up.
Yeah.
Ring the bell.
yeah,
Hilarious.
The facial
dude.
expression is great.
And he
up.
just one
Shut
arm. He's got a dead arm, just ready to fucking fight, dude.
Yep.
It's beast.
So they start round 4, and Brendan is kind of playing it a keep away with
He's
Tommy.
not hitting him.
He's not.
He
He doesn't.
straight
he
up
doesn't
does not
want
wanna hit
No.
him.
But Tommy's still coming at him hard.
Yeah.
He's trying to do his best to whoop his ass still, and he's not having it. But he eventually just says, "Come on," and Brendan beats him up.
Brendan gets pissed, and this is the bad part though. He doesn't only just beat him up. He gets him like in the corner and just starts hammering the shoulder.
Yeah.
he just is
He's going-
hammering
he's going
the
for the weak spot.
because he's literally trying to get like Tommy. You need to fucking just stop.
Yeah,
man.
I don't
And-
want to keep kicking
and he,
your ass,
and
man.
he pisses him off, and he has that moment of like, all right, fine, you want to fucking fight, you want to do this, I'm gonna hit you in the most painful spot that I can,
Yeah.
because like this shit is ridiculous. You're gonna get yourself killed, kind of thing. But he doesn't finish him.
Nope.
He won't finish him. The bell rings, and they have to go to.
They end the
Another
round.
ro-
Yeah,
well,
they end the round,
round.
and when they end the round, they start a song, which lasts until the end of the movie, and it's a wonderful song. The song is called "About Today," and anyone could look this song up. It's a really good song. It works so well for this fucking.
We'll play this song on the outro. Of this.
Okay, well, I'll try this one. In this whole song, throughout this end of the round, we see that Brendan sees Patty in the crowd, and Patty gives him this nod. And this nod just tells him, you know,
It's
okay.
There's
so
zero
much-
words that are said in this whole little situation. It's just Brendan mentally struggling with like,
Yes.
what do I fucking do here? Like I'm putting my brother through a lot of pain. This is fucked up. And Tommy is like dead in the corner now. Like he was always the animal running around. Tommy's
crying.
he's hurt,
It's hitting him.
crying
Yes.
in the corner. He's fucking done. Mentally, he's done. He has no arm. Physically, he's fucked. And Brendan just is like looking for that answer. And yeah, you see Patty, and Patty just gives him that eyes of like, gives him the nod of like, it's okay. You got to do what you got to do. You got to put your brother down. Like it is what it is. Do it.
So
And
it's in a way too. It's almost like
it's permission.
it's permission, and it's also like Tommy needs this ass whooping.
Yeah. No. It's.
I can't give him this ass whooping because look at me, look at
Well,
him.
no, and
but-
it's Patty.
Yeah, I need
it's
you-
literally Patty being like, you know, you are the alpha in a way now of like, you need to handle this and like right all the ship.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best thing that can happen right now is you need to put his ass down. It just is what it is. Don't feel bad. You're doing the right thing. You got Dad's approval, which meant nothing the whole movie, but now is everything. to Brendan.
In a moment like that.
Correct,
where
and
you
that's
get-
he's looking for, he's looking for his parents. He's looking for some kind of affirmation. His dad, Patty is incredibly proud of Brendan this whole tournament.
Yeah.
We didn't talk as much about it, but after every win, Patty goes nuts about all the shit about Brendan because you can tell Patty is super proud that Brendan's kind of doing all this shit on his own. He's proving his point of like, I didn't really need you, but even though I wanted you, kind of thing. And it's just like by this time, it's just there's so many emotions of like pain, physically and emotionally, anger, like unfairness, high stakes, that all this shit is going on, and it just the music that's playing, everything, it just starts to like boil together, and then the Nick Nolte head nod every time, it just like breaks you. It's just like, oh, end the fight, dude. Like we can't take this shit
Just
anymore.
call
like,
it, please stop.
It's just that moment of like, fuck, and then right away Brendan sees, as soon as he gets the head nod from his dad, it's like, I'm gonna fucking go out there and end this. This shit's gone on way too long.
But the way he does it.
Yeah, dude.
So they end round 5, or they start round 5, and when they start round 5, they're kind of circling each other because Brendan doesn't want to.
And Tommy's like on his last fucking legs. He's not coming out swinging anymore.
No,
he's like
he's
defense
still crying,
curled up.
He's still crying. He's kind of he's got a, like you said, defense.
We've seen a POV of Tommy from this point too, and the camera goes real blurry, so you can tell like that Tommy's in so much pain, his vision's kind of blurring and shit like that. Like he's just really losing it.
Like I said, Brendan doesn't want to fight him, but Tommy gives him the wave.
Yeah, he does the let's go with one arm.
Yeah. And Brendan delivers a fucking face kick to Tommy.
Yeah, puts his ass
out, and he puts Tommy into a hold, and this is the scene that gets you.
Yeah, it gets him in a good chokehold too. It's just like, it's not an arm bar really. It's not like a knee bar or anything. Nope. He's got him in like a straight up like rear naked choke type, just chokehold of like, I'm gonna cut your air off, bro.
And while he's doing this hold, he tells Tommy, he goes, "I'm sorry. It's okay. I love you." And when he says that, I'm like, oh my fucking God.
It's the same thing where it's a bit long of a choke, and like Tommy's not tapping again. It's that whole like, Jesus Christ, he's gonna have to literally like make him pass out and kill him like before this guy taps, and then Brendan's telling him, tap out, and finally gives him the like, it's okay, I love you. And at that moment, it's like, oh, and as soon as he says, I love you,
he taps.
Fucking Tommy taps.
Yeah, you see the tap on the shoulder, and you're like, oh my God.
God
at that
damn
moment,
it, dude.
Fucking Tess freaks out.
Everyone freaks out.
Everyone
Frank
is
going
freaking
nuts.
out. The high school is going crazy. Everyone's losing it. They're like, oh my God, this guy just tapped. And, there's so much more emotion in it, too, for the crowd and everybody knowing it's his brother.
Yeah.
He just whooped his brother's ass. This is one of those times, like, I've seen this movie probably 10 times at the most now, and out of those 10 times, I've probably only cried 3 times or 4 times, and this time, one of the last times, I cried again. Like
this is
so
one of those. I'll say it. I don't
behind
cry in a lot of movies. This movie gets me every single time, and it's at different points or it's different things, and it's like I see it different being older from the last time I saw it and all that. But just something about this movie every time hits me and makes me cry. I just can't. It's something about this movie.
Yeah, it's just that emotional connection.
It's just so strong, and fucking instantly, he snaps his arm. Fucking Tommy finally submits, and it's over. All of it's over, and all then Brendan does is go into like extreme Big Brother mode, which is just like, oh my God, it's like, stop. My heart cannot take this anymore. It's like he literally is giving Tommy what Tommy needs now, and he's like, because Frank right away jumps up and is like wants to celebrate, and you can tell he tells Frank, he's like, go tell Tess to get her ass in the fucking locker room, and get everyone else away from me. And right away, Frank doesn't say shit about it.
Nope.
He goes and tells Tess, go to the locker room. She gets up and leaves, and he instantly goes to the refs and the press, and it's just like, back the fuck up.
Yep.
Like, we're not doing interviews.
He opens the gate for them to get out of the octagon, and he's pushing people away. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Frank's the best.
We're
dude.
taking care of this.
Best.
We got bigger problems than just this shit going on right now. And it's so emotional because Brendan's walking with Tommy, and he's got his arms around Tommy the entire time. Of like you said, he's going into Big Brother mode, and it's all he cares about is taking care of his little brother right now. And it's It's very emotional.
Yep. And then you get a flash of Nick Nolte. Patty's sitting there and he's crying. He's got the tear that's coming down his eyes. And he also has this moment of like super, super proud dad of like his boys. Like he's proud of his boys.
They've worked it out.
Correct.
They've done it. And he's glad he's here to see it. And in a way, I'm sure that he feels like he did it as well. Like, you know, that look that he gave to Brendan a few moments ago.
Yeah, the family's in a way better place now than it ever has been.
And that's what it took. And
He feels like a door opened.
Yeah, they keep walking. They walk into the backstage or whatever, and they walk out of focus into the camera, and that's the end of the movie.
It's all you need. It's like I don't need to see now like Tommy getting arrested. I don't need to see Brendan paying his bills and everyone celebrating. Like they end it on like this was a story about the brothers. This is the end of the journey. Perfect. That's all I need.
Yeah,
dude.
like we said in the beginning, you know, this movie at first glance is marketed as an MMA movie,
Like an action,
and you're getting so much more. Nobody's gonna, and it's funny because I'm sure there was a lot of guys, fucking hard asses, who walked into this movie and they were like,
got
"Fuck yeah,
hit
let's
by
go."
a buzzsaw, dude.
Like
No one expected that.
To see the crowd walking out of all these hard ass dudes like wiping their faces,
dude.
and I wouldn't make fun of them.
No.
I'd be like, "Fuck, dude, I'm in the same boat. I wasn't expecting that shit either."
I remember in college, like that was the first movie in such a long time that like I actually like cried in, and I remember just being like, "What the fuck was that?" You know, like,
think I was gonna
and I'm with Jordan, and Jordan's the same way, like you know, like wiping the tears a little bit, and it's not that moment of like, well. We can't clown each other. It's not the like you fucking crying during Little Mermaid, bro. Like what the fuck's wrong with you? It's that we all were like, yep, we both watched the same story. We know exactly why we are emotional right now.
And it's like
that was a lot.
And that's just the alpha male part of dudes who are like, you know, I can't cry to movies.
Well,
but
I
know so many fucking people who are like, I fucking cry to Rudy every time I watch Rudy. I'm
Correct.
Like, Rudy's fucking lame. I
love Rudy.
I like Rudy, but I don't think Rudy deserves the hype.
No, it's not a warrior. But it's the thing is I think that's where this movie fucking gets you. Is it psychologically just fucks you up? Like we're brought up, not I guess they're trying to improve at today's age, but like when we were younger, like you know, guys and male testosterone, alpha male,
absolutely.
all that bullshit you were brought up on. You get that for 95% of this movie. You get it, the max of it, and then they're like, okay, you're alpha males that we just showed you. We're gonna just strip away everything and show you how vulnerable they are now. And it just like triggers something in you where you like let your own guard down in a way. Cause like you're in this with them and you're like, well, he's a fucking animal that ripped a door off a tank. Like if he's upset, I can be upset for a second. You know what I mean? It's like it totally destroys everything you think of like this male like bullshit personification that you have of like alphas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just turns it on its head. And I think it just like, it fucks with you emotionally and it gets reactions, man.
Absolutely. Would you say that this movie, and I had asked this before for most of the movies that we watch, do you think that this last watch was one of the better watches, or do you think that it's your first watch is still like, oh my gosh, like this?
Like I said, I think this movie it speaks to me differently depending on what like is going on with my life and all that. Like I said, like I'm older now, of course, but in the same sense, it's still just as powerful, but it's different parts that are hitting me now. What hit me back then isn't the same shit that hits me now, but it's just as powerful as that shit that was hitting me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So this watch for me, you know, I've seen it, like I said, I've seen this movie about 10 times, and the first watch was incredible. This watch for me in particular was a lot more powerful. So I am going through things with my brother right now. So watching this, and not even just the fact that I wish that I could just whoop his ass, and then it's like, okay, well, everything's done. Or we just have a fight and have everything be done and over with and understand each other. It's a lot of the emotion of, you know, a lot of things can be talked about, and we're just not right now. And I think we're just not ready for that moment to be talking to each other. But because of what they're going through, and I know what I'm going through right now, this hit me so fucking hard.
Well, I think
like even just talking about this, like it makes me want to cry. But it's crazy.
But I think that's the thing too. Is like at the end of the day, if everyone's like, "Oh, what is Warrior about?" It's a complete movie about forgiveness. That's what the movie's
yeah.
about. And
Absolutely.
They have different ways of doing it. It's not just I'm saying sorry, oh, we're good now. Like, it's a brutal fight to get there. But every one of those characters have to forgive kind of multiple people throughout this really tough journey. And that's, like, at the end of the day what the movie's about.
Yeah.
It's just, like, about loving and forgiving. Which is just, in this type of movie, how it's marketed and everything, you just don't expect to get that when you sit down and you start this movie. And it catches you really, really off guard and hits you really hard because of that.
Yeah. Sam, how does this last watch compare to anything?
It's similar. Like I haven't spoken to my brother in 6 years, so I'm on year 6 of family type things. And although don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near as toxic as the shit that these brothers grew up with. But yeah, you wish you could just be like, remember when we used to beat the shit out of each other when we were little and WWF? Let's just go do that. And then after that, be like, all right, where are we eating dinner? Like, it's obviously it's not an easy thing, but
Yeah,
it makes it tough to watch.
It definitely does, and it sucks that this movie wasn't more successful.
That's what it's always the one that I suggest because it's like it's one of those. It's a shame not as many people have seen it because it's so good and I feel like it speaks to a lot of people and a lot of You don't have to have brothers. You don't have to have drunk dads. You don't have to have any of that. But I feel like you can watch this and you can point to something or a relationship in your life where you're like, this is kind of hitting home.
Yeah.
This is hitting
Absolutely,
home. And
yeah.
here. No matter where you're from, it doesn't have to be the same type of shit. You don't have to be from Pittsburgh with all this crazy shit. It just
Even
it
just
does
a simple
great job.
family fight, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It really puts things in perspective of like, oh shit, like there's some real stuff here.
Yeah.
It's good acting, good writing, the
yeah.
emotions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean,
Acting, dude. Easily Joel Egerton's best performance.
I mean, yeah.
He's
It's
the
up there.
character in this movie that he is the one that I think needed to bring the most.
Oh yeah.
And also delivered the most. Because you get Tom Hardy, and we all know Tom Hardy's a phenom. We've seen him in all these different roles now, do all these different things. We know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Nick Nolte's been in the game for fucking 40 years. We know what he's bringing to the table. They both delivered. Joel Egerton's the one you see, and you're like,
what are
damn,
you gonna do?
Uncle
Yeah.
Owen, dude? Like, this is Uncle Owen? Like, holy shit. Like, this is a different animal.
I told Matty, I'm like, you think he's that cut underneath his robe? And
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. So it's like, there's a lot that rested on Joel Egerton to bring, to make this work, and he delivers
Absolutely.
tenfold. So it's amazing.
You're right. It is his best.
I think
his best role.
I'm not saying he's
Which
a
is a-
slouch by
no,
any
yeah.
means, but I think
I
when
really
it comes
liked
down
him.
to it,
I really liked him in the movie The Gift. So he directed that one as well, and I really like his portrayal of being just a fucking weird, crazy,
Stalker.
stalker dude. So I really liked him in that. But yeah, that was the only one that I was like, when you said that, I was like, is it? No, yes, it absolutely is. Were you rooting? Who were you rooting for to win this? I know that when I first watched it, and I was high on fucking Bane at the time.
Probably Tom Hardy.
I was like, fucking Tom Hardy's got this, and he's a fucking.
Well, this is before Bane.
It is before Bane, but
There's a tidbit I want. I'm so glad we talked about this.
Yes, but it was I saw it in 2012.
Correct.
So I was already
Yep.
with the news.
That's
that
true.
I was already sucking the dick of Tom Hardy Bane.
Yes.
So I was like, I'm on that
Because Tom Hardy actually got Bane because of this movie.
Yeah.
Because he was big. He was coming off Bronson, where he got really fat to play Bronson, like big, but also like fat big, not like
He put on mass, yeah.
He put on mass. Then he got this movie where he got extremely shredded, and then Christopher Nolan. All the shit happened with Heath Ledger, and Christopher Nolan had to start reassessing how he was going to end 3, and when he was dealing with the idea of like, all right, well, we'll fucking do Bane. And then they happened to be filming instead of Chicago. They moved filming to Dark Knight Rises to Pittsburgh. And that's when he was like, well, I did a movie with Tom Hardy. I did Inception with Tom Hardy, hit him up and was like, kind of shape you in? And he's like, I just wrapped filming Warrior. I'm in amazing shape. And he was like,
I believe he
what
told him.
What do you think about Bane, bro?
I believe he told him to put on more muscle.
Yeah, well, yeah,
too,
that
for
was-
Bane.
yeah.
I was like, holy
Which
shit! Because like Sam, the fucking floor was so fucking wet when I was watching this movie with Sam. Like it was fucking nuts. And even me, I'm like, he's fucking smoking hot in this movie.
He's like a gorilla. He's got muscles like on muscles. He walks
He
around
does.
like his frame can't support his
But
mass.
it's his
It's crazy.
face, too.
Yeah, his
I
face.
don't know.
He's such a
That's-
normal face. Like when he's wearing a hoodie, I'm like, oh, he just looks like a nice guy. And then he takes that hoodie off. I'm like, holy shit.
Nah.
animal. And
Even
he's
his
got-
face, he just looks like someone who's dirty, and that's
And
my thing.
I-
So.
Hey. I love, like, he's got all his tattoos on display, too. Like, 95% of those tattoos are actually his.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
His arm one, though, like, he has actually a fighting leprechaun, like a fighting Irish guy. His tribal tattoo, he doesn't really have that in real life. They covered that up, I'm guessing, for, like, copyright reasons or whatever. I'm sure Notre Dame, like, owns that logo, so you can't use it. But, yeah, so they had to, like, give him fake tattoos to cover some of his real tattoos, but, like, all his chest tattoos and all that shit, that's all real, like, Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, awesome. It's fucking badass.
And I know the people were pissed on Dark Knight Rises. They were like, fuck, we got to cover this dude's arm.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm fucking sure, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, so you were rooting for Hardy?
Probably Tom. I think I was more of like a Tommy guy.
I know I was.
At the end.
I didn't know Joel Edgerton at the time. At the time, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Okay, he's just a normal guy. You as well? You as well? I'm assuming.
Plot point, you're like, nah, I don't want to see two little kids get kicked out of their house. So plot point, I was rooting for Brendan. But for me, being into chubby dudes or Hispanics, no, I think Tom Hardy 2011 is probably the most beautiful specimen on this earth.
Yeah.
That was his year.
Favorite scenes? What were your guys' favorite scenes of this movie?
I think I can distill it down to 3 easy. Like the beach,
Yeah.
the hotel room, and the casino. Like those to me.
Yeah. So all the Nolte shit.
Yeah, pretty much. If Nolte's in it, like Nolte's my guy in this movie. Like he hits me in this movie big time.
And it's almost like it's in a way it's almost I guess for our generation, it's almost like finding a hidden gem. Like you know that he's an actor, but you're not too exposed to any of his previous work.
And then you go look at what he's done. You go look at what he's done, and you're like, holy shit, this guy's worked for like 50 years. Like this guy's been in fucking everything and worked with everyone, has won all the accolades you can win, all that bullshit. But again, it's like, this is one of those where it's like, God damn, who is this guy? Like, you forget, like, oh yeah, old actors don't just play old. You know what I mean? Like, these guys have been in the business this long for a fucking reason. This is exactly why.
Favorite scene?
Yeah.
I like the end when they're in and Brendan just wins.
The fight?
And,
okay.
Because I like that you can see while everything else is going on around them, like they're still talking. Like you could see that Tommy opens his mouth. You can see that Brendan is talking to him, and it's like we don't get any of that dialogue. But I feel like as a viewer, like you are witnessing the start of healing. And I like that even though you just won a stupid amount of money and everything, like you could tell that entire room does not exist to them. Like they could be in a fucking closet by themselves. They're just in such an intimate moment, and it portrays very real.
Absolutely. I do agree with both of your guys' scenes. So just so I don't have to agree with both of your scenes, but I do love them. Those are definitely my top 2 scenes. But another scene that I really, really, really like, and it's because I like the editing, is the training montage. Yeah. I love the training montage.
It's a cool montage scene for something that's in every single fighting movie and gets kind of like, oh, here we go. Yeah, it's a cool montage.
They make it their own. It's interesting. Yeah. They make it their own, and it's the use of music in it as well. Just like the last fight, like the use of music in the last fight as well as the training montage, just works so fucking well. Yep. So I guess we've kind of already answered the question as well of who our MVP is of this movie.
Yeah, we all.
do you agree with Nick Nolte? Nick Nolte is the one who? Okay, okay,
yeah,
wonderful.
He's my dude.
Yeah,
runner up.
I mean, like I said, I think it's Frank Grillo's one of his best roles. I think it's one of Joel Edgerton's best roles. It's Tom Hardy being an animal, but like Nick Nolte, he showed up. He showed up in all the scenes, dude.
Yep. Tiers: top tier, middle tier, bottom tier.
All right, I'll finally do it. I'll switch it up. I'll switch it up, maybe.
I'm like, I don't know. This is a pretty top tier fucking movie.
This is top tier for me. This is top tier for me. I'm switching up. I'm going top tier.
Yeah, I'll stand top tier.
Like it's top.
Yeah. Like we had said before numerous times.
Yeah, I put Signs in top tier. Yeah, this is top tier for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to find something bad about this movie.
It's such a fucking shame. Yeah, the only problem that I had that's bad about this movie is that
I just wish
you wanted a beach meetup scene.
Yes,
that's crazy. Like,
I just want one little fucking 30-second thing, like you said. Like that's all I want. And then the students. I don't like the students.
But 2 things. That's nothing. Yeah. You know.
Not to Matty. Well, Matty's always got more than 2 things.
No,
Matty, that's nothing.
There's probably more. Hey, this is the first. Hey,
This is the first top tier you get.
listen. In the last episode, you had mentioned that I'm the one that if when a lot of people like it, I got to be the opposite.
Yeah.
This is one that I'm on board with.
Good. That's because a lot of people don't know about this movie. It's the cult of those. It's the cult of good movies.
Yeah, wait till it gets a cult following in
Oh, it
fucking
will.
20
Yeah.
years, and I'm like,
Something will
fuck
happen.
that movie.
Yep.
Nick Nolte ain't that great.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck that dead guy, because he'll be dead by then. I'm sure.
Aw.
I'm assuming he will be.
R.I.P. Nick.
He's fucking Hagrid. When Hagrid was like, I won't be here in this many years.
Oh God, don't even bring that up.
We're gonna jump over to a top 3. We have top 3 fighting films, and we're gonna go all of our 3, all of our 2, and then all of our 1. I went first last time. You take over, Tyler.
I'm going Brawl and Cell Block 9.
Now you'd mentioned this to
It's a
me.
Vince Vaughn movie.
Vince Vaughn. When was this made? Is it older?
It's not that old. It's
Is
like
this before or after Triple X?
after.
Okay.
Way after Triple
Fuck kind
X.
of reference.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's like middle school. Like what the hell?
What kind of a year reference was
Yeah,
that?
what the hell? Anyways,
Do people know that off the top of their head too?
I base everything in my life either before or after.
on Xander, dude, everything
Jesus
relies
Christ.
on fucking Xander,
Fucking
dude.
snowboarding down
No,
out a window and
but-
shit.
I feel like I didn't even pay attention to what
Brawl
you
and
said
Cell
after
Block 99 is it's a fantastic movie. It's on the more brutal side. Like the fights it's graphic.
Okay.
It's not like when bones break kind of thing.
Okay.
But the long story short, Vince Vaughn goes to prison, or he goes to this max danger prison type place.
Oh, that's why you said Vince Vaughn, and my brain thought you said Vin Diesel.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
You
yeah,
dumb
no.
bitch. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no. Vince Vaughn, completely different from
That's why
Vin
I was
Diesel.
like, wait a minute, I heard you say Vince Vaughn again.
Totally
What the fuck
different.
Is Vince Vaughn and Triple X?
Probably has like a foot and a half on
Bruh.
Vin Diesel if you break it down.
Probably more. Fuck.
But it's a character unlike Vince has ever played. It's a way different.
It's not a comedic.
No,
like, yeah.
not at all. Like
Okay.
the movie is very, very serious. Don Johnson's in it.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, it's a newer movie.
Wow,
But
okay.
basically, he's kind of after these people, and he goes to this jail, and he basically has to get in these fights and do this shit to get him kicked up into higher levels of security, because he's trying to get to the highest level of security in this prison where this dangerous guy is at that he wants. He wants
Okay.
to like kill him or whoop his ass or whatever. So it's not like a fight like competition type movie, but it's him in jail with no weapons, like just getting in all these crazy fights, whether it be because of his race or because of just normal jail shit, or him purposely starting fights because he's trying to get kicked into the next like section of the prison for higher risk or higher. It's just it's a really kind of cool movie. Like I said, it's brutal, and it's just one of those fighting tier movies where he's just trying to make it to like the top. So I like to throw it in there, and it's another movie that like a lot of people have no fucking idea
when
what
you
it is.
when you mentioned to me, I was like, "What the fuck? I didn't even heard
Which
that
is
one."
why-
It's very indie.
Which is why my brain automatically associated Vin Diesel with a fighting movie over Vince
Yeah,
Vaughn.
no, it's a very very indie movie, but I love it. Again, though, it's very graphic. So if you're not into that, don't skip it.
I'm looking at
but
even just the pictures on IMDb.
he
and
looks
it-
like a
Yeah.
scary. He's a scary motherfucker.
At first glance,
dude.
you're like,
This
that's
one where
not
he's bald?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have not seen it, but I've
Yeah.
seen
He's
pictures.
got
of
the
it.
tattoo on the back of his
his
head.
whole thing's
Yeah.
like Murphy's Law and like everything
Okay.
bad happens to him kind of. It's
Fuck
it's
yeah.
a good movie.
Add it to
and
the list, man,
Very
for sure.
very drama filled. So that's my number 3 pick as a fighter movie.
I like it. Sam, number 3.
My number 3 is Real Steel.
Real Steel.
Great pick.
I
That's a good
like
one.
that one.
That's a fun.
I love
movie.
that movie.
That's
I love
fucking-
Hugh Jackman in that movie. I like
fuck yeah.
Scumbag Hugh Jackman is my favorite Hugh Jackman. And
Deadbeat
he's just
dad.
kind of like a deadbeat dad in that
yeah.
movie for most
and he's
of the
like,
movie.
oh, you want it? Fucking go get it. So
It's
the kid
hilarious.
makes his kid pick all the parts up out of the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
And shit. It's such a good movie.
I think is that Ty Simpkins? That's your boy Ty Simpkins?
Yeah, I think it is.
I say your boy because I know that you.
Yeah, I
casted
casted him. No, but I
Yeah.
think that is. I think it is.
My number 3 is going to be Rocky 4.
All right. I cannot hate on that pick at all.
I love Rocky 4. I think that it's just like we had said earlier, before we started recording, is one of those movies that most people say, I gotta watch a movie for 4th of July. It's either gonna be Rocky 4 or it's gonna be fucking
Independence Day.
Independence Day or it's gonna be The Sandlot.
Yep.
So yeah, Rocky 4 is my
That's a
number
good
3.
pick.
Number 3
Solid pick. America versus Russia always will play.
Yeah.
Um,
Number 2.
you ever seen The Raid?
I've not seen The Raid.
This is where, because we were talking that we didn't want it to be super action and all that, like John Wick. That was our big thing.
Yeah.
Of like, and so I will say the raid has nothing to do with like fighting and like tournaments, but the idea is he's like in this apartment that's like a crack house almost, right? And he's got to get to, again, like the top floor, but the dude, and he's a part of a SWAT team. His like whole like team within the first 2 minutes gets like ambushed, and he like doesn't have his gun anymore. So it's hand-to-hand combat all the way up to get this fucking drug dealer. And it's an Indonesian film. I think...
I'll say it's not American.
No,
I
no,
know
no.
They were thinking about...
It is.
They were
It's
thinking about being remade.
there is, yeah, but it never went through, which thank God. Because it's some of the best hand-to-hand choreography you'll ever see. It is on another level of, again, really brutal movie. There's a lot of fucking injuries that happen. But it's all fucking hand-to-hand combat because he loses his gun right away. But he's still got to try to, like, complete his mission. So he's just fighting floors and gangs of different people that have different shit. It's a really, really good fight. Again, fight the tiers up to get to the bad guys and then all that. So
No, I have heard great things
it's called,
about that movie.
I think when they released it in America, it's called Raid Redemption.
Yes, it's
And
the
then
Raid Redemption.
That's that's the American title because I think the Raid's a different movie.
Yeah, if you type in the Raid,
Chicago.
it doesn't show
Or
up on
in-
IMDb. Yeah.
Correct. Like that's the American title, and then there is the Raid. There's a 2 too, which that's also a badass movie too.
I heard that there were good movies.
They're phenomenal.
I do want to watch them.
Yeah, like I said, so it's kind of a reach, but it's not like John Wick where they're like doing like gung fu and like with guns and shit, and there's fighting in it too. It's like he loses his gun right away, and it's just him relying on his hand-to-hand combat the entire way up. So that's my pick.
Nice.
Little artsy pick for you. Foreign film.
Number 2, Sam.
Fight Club.
Fight Club's a good one.
Son of a bitch. I didn't even think of Fight Club.
Because you're not supposed to talk about it.
Fuck, yeah. True.
Fight Club's a
God
great movie.
damn it. That is a good fighter movie. Duh. Jesus Christ. Good one.
It's all right. We're even now. I'm a dumbass.
No,
so.
this is good. That's why I like this category.
Tyler was just trying to think of something that was starring Vin Diesel, I guess.
Yeah. I was like,
Number
damn.
one.
What are the good Vin Diesel movies? Yeah. My number 2 is The Karate Kid. I love The
Figured
Karate
that'd
Kid.
be on your list.
Yeah.
I fucking love Karate Kid, and especially with Cobra Kai. Can't wait
Fair.
to watch it. Love Karate Kid. It's always been a
Solid.
good favorite of mine.
Number 1 pick,
Number 1, Tyler.
which I already told you this, but The Warriors.
The Warriors. Okay.
It's like from the 70s. If you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, but it's very 70s. It's a little slow when you look back at it now, but it's like watching a comic book. It's like it's the most ridiculous like scenario of like different gangs come and they're all fucking in the same
Fucking
costumes
baseball
and shit.
gang and
It's
all
the
the shit,
coolest
yeah.
like again, maybe it's a comic book is a bad way to
No,
compare it.
I was about
but,
to
like,
say a comic book is probably one of the best ways
get what I'm
to say
saying?
about the Warriors because and especially like you had said, it's a little bit slower for being a 70s film. However, one of the best things about the Warriors is that it's very aware of its style versus most other 70s films. They do have their tones to them, but their styles they kind of lack in. And the Warriors knows its style, and it's wonderful.
It's also like if you ever heard the like Warriors come out to
Yeah.
play. A lot of people know that and don't know where that comes from. Like that's from
Yeah.
the Warriors movie. That scene is iconic.
Yeah,
And it's a
absolutely.
movie with great pacing because they're just trying to get home while everyone else is trying to whoop their ass on the way home. So again, I love it because it's just as fighter movie as you can get because that's all it's about. It's just fighting and trying to get home.
Fighting, it's just you're fighting the other fucking
Gangs.
gangs and towns.
Can you dig it?
Yep. I'm gonna say that. A lot of people don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's a fantastic movie.
It's a great movie. It's also one I think could be remade fairly well. That's not a remake that's happened yet. That I think they could pull it off. I think
so,
I
too.
think you can new age this movie and make it work.
I like that.
Yep.
Sam, number 1.
I went Gladiator.
Oh, good one.
I'm all about that.
Pretty good one.
Ridley Scott, she does love that one.
I
It is
like,
a good movie.
I'm like, it's all about fighting.
I saw that in theaters, and I can't remember what year that came out. And I'm like,
I'll
what?
tell you.
When I look back at it, I'm like, why did my
2000.
Yeah, 2000. So I was 10. And why did my dad bring me to see this movie?
Because your
And-
dad wanted to see Gladiator. That's why.
And then at the same time, like my brother is 5 years younger than me. I'm like, why did my dad bring a 5-year-old to go see Gladiator in theaters? blows my
Men,
mind.
bro. Men and testosterone.
I feel like I can't bring Zosha to see anything, and she's 6.
Yeah. I remember my dad taking me to Freddy vs. Jason when I was pretty young.
Okay.
And like seeing like him beat a naked girl in a sleeping bag against a tree at the end.
Oh, that's
is,
Jason X.
Oh, then that's what I saw
Yeah.
with my dad. Yeah, I've seen both. I saw both of them, but both either or. It's one of those awkward like.
I should
Why'd
not
you
be
bring me?
Yeah, I should
Like,
not be
this is-
watching this.
I get I asked you and begged you to take me to this,
Yeah.
but like should have told me no. This
Yeah.
is a
This
little.
was a bad parental
Yeah.
decision.
Like,
But I turned out all right.
Side note: my fucking grandfather brought my brother and I to see Scary Movie in theaters when it first came out. Because at the time, the marketing for it was just
Yeah,
that it
like
was a comedy
Yeah,
kids movie, and then
very
when,
different.
And then when the dick goes into the ear, my grandpa's like, "What did I bring my grandkids to see?"
Which was also 2000.
Yeah, it's 10 years old, 10 and 5.
It's a busy
I was
year
gonna
for you.
say Devin was 5.
was 5.
Jesus.
But so my number 1 is Warrior. I'm not gonna. I love Warrior. It's one of the best fighting movies that I've ever seen. We were just talking about this before we started, and I was
okay.
like, "Yeah."
Fair.
Sam was like, "Oh, can
I'm
we
not
choose?"
gonna argue with you.
Sam was like, "Can we put Warrior in the list?" I'm like, "If you want, go ahead."
was
But
like,
I
is
didn't
it-
want to insinuate that I did it already.
I
so.
was like, I don't know, because that might affect my list.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
No,
yeah,
Warrior's
it's
my number
probably
1.
My favorite too, but I'm not gonna.
Go
I
on that,
didn't-
Bo. If you want to, if you want,
No, I'm gonna stick with my list.
you still got
I'm a
your
man of
list.
integrity.
Technically, he still picked a warrior.
Yeah. But yeah, that's our top 3 fighting films. We're gonna move on to our read, play, watch. My read is a pretty cool read. I wasn't expecting to see this when I went to the comic book store. This is Detective Comics number 27. This is a reprint of the very first issue where we get to see Batman.
Oh, cool.
And it's almost gyp. You feel gypped in a way because you get this comic, and this is not just 36 pages of a Batman comic. This is about 7 pages of a Batman comic, and then the rest of the pages are other smaller comics, just things that they were selling at the time.
Yeah, right.
But it is really cool because I'm not going to spend thousands of dollars to get the very
Yeah,
first
like so
12.
at least you got.
But
like,
I have
yeah.
a print
Yep,
of it,
yep.
and it's really cool to look at, and it looks good. It'll look good on a shelf.
There you go.
So I enjoyed it. It was still a good story, and it was cool to see the first story of Batman.
Yeah, that is cool.
That's my read. Okay.
My play is I've been playing the Ghostbuster game remastered. It came out. It's a game came out in 2009. It's the game that pretty much people have kind of argued is the true third movie.
Oh, okay.
And it has the original guys all voice acted in it. So they have like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. They're all voices in the game. But it's kind of the movie that, or the game they say that like if there was a third movie, this game is what the third movie would have
Nice.
been. And you're kind of just the new guy on the crew while they're teaching you, but you're going to visit all these historical things from the other Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and you're running into ghosts from those, and it's fun. You just hunt ghosts. Literally, you have to try not to cause a bunch of damage everywhere you go with your proton beam and all that shit. It's really, really cool. It plays really well. It came out in 2019, the remastered version, because like I said, the original came out in 2009. But I've been having a blast. It's pretty simple because it is old, but like it's fun and it's like super Ghostbusters.
Does it have a lot of achievements for you?
There are a good amount of achievements. A lot of them are difficult in a way too because it's a lot of like scan every ghost type shit.
Okay,
so you
cool.
gotta like
Okay.
kind of be watching for ghosts. You can turn on like your night vision and like see different things that you normally can't see.
So they have a detective mode.
Yeah,
Okay.
they have like you have your little meter that the things go up. You know what I mean? You have
Yeah.
to track Slimer and all that shit. Like it's what you think you'd want in a Ghostbusters game. It's what it is. And
that's cool.
They just remastered it to kind of be like, hey, we once made a really good Ghostbusters game. In case you forgot, and it's the story's awesome. It's like a movie.
Nice. Is there like cutaways and shit? Like maybe I could watch that
Yeah, they have cutaways.
to like get a full story.
Correct. Yeah, they have like cutaways and stuff like
Cool.
that. Yeah, because
Awesome.
most of the stuff's just you walking around and like battling the actual ghost, but they fill in the blanks with everything else. Yeah, I really really enjoy it.
Badass. Nice play. Mm-hmm. Watch. So Sam and I and the girls watched Pinocchio today, the brand new Pinocchio that came out yesterday, and I didn't care for it.
I've never been a Pinocchio guy.
And
I'll
I
throw
think-
that out there from
no,
the
I think-
beginning.
I think
First
that's
off,
the
it's
problem.
creepy as fuck.
I think that's the problem with this movie is that I went into it with, I don't like the original Pinocchio. So I was expecting there to be something different, something that was going to entice me to say, you know what, this Pinocchio
Maybe a
blows
different
the other
spin
one.
on
Yeah,
it.
a different spin.
Does Pinocchio have Jiminy Cricket?
Yes.
I
correct.
fuck with Jiminy Cricket. I'll put that on record. I fuck with Jiminy Cricket, but I'm out on Geppetto and Pinocchio. Creep me out.
The cast was good. So you got Tom Hanks as Geppetto, and he did all right. It could have been anybody else. I don't really care. Luke Evans is in it, and he does all right as well. I can't remember who plays the blue princess, or not the blue princess.
The blue fairy.
The blue fairy. I can't remember what
think
her
it
name
was
is.
the
but
person they wanted.
We get
to
a good,
cast for
she's playing
Elphaba.
Alphaba. She's playing Alphaba.
Yeah.
We
Hold
get
on,
a good whale scene.
They do in a
It's a
way.
sea monster.
They give it a
Cynthia Erivo is a blue fairy.
and she did a good job. So the whale scene is good. The problem is that it's not a whale. They consider it a monster. So it looks like a whale at the front, and in the back it has tentacles like an octopus. It's like why the fuck did you do that?
It was weird.
Because they're trying to be new.
Yeah, and then
It's like that's the one thing you chose to change.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt does the voice of Jiminy Cricket.
Oh,
and
really?
He does decent.
Okay.
He does a decent job.
I like him,
It's good enough that you could notice that it's him, but
not
makes
like
it its
him
own.
just
Yeah.
being him. Yeah. Gotcha. That's cool.
The biggest part about the whale scene is that in the original, you get you get the scene where they're in the throat, and Pinocchio keeps telling lies to hold open the esophagus, and you don't get that in this. So you don't get that scene where Geppetto kind of realizes what he's been doing is wrong and shit like that. It's not really an eye opener for him, and it's kind of disappointing. They don't give it much depth. They hit you right away with the fact that Geppetto lost his son, so that's why
his
wants
wife, his son,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, but as far as being darker or anything, in reality, they remade the original. They
live actioned it.
They just
finally.
live actioned it, and it's almost a scene by scene. There's a few differences for the worse, in my opinion. Like at this point, I would rather watch the original.
Yeah.
So I don't think they did a very good job.
Yeah,
at
it's
making
one of
this.
those that
I feel like the first
I
one
don't know when I'm
affects
gonna
you
get to
more
this.
just because it's so creepy.
Yeah.
And it's so, I don't know if violent is the right word I want to use, but like, yeah, Stromboli
Disney
and
had balls?
shit. Like,
Disney had balls
that
back
was,
then? No,
That,
they don't.
Yeah,
no,
well,
that
that's
was old
before-
Disney
yeah,
where they were
that's-
like,
That's what I'm
were-
saying. Disney
yeah.
had balls back then.
Yeah,
Now
they were
don't.
like
abuse.
borderline Nazis still.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Keegan-Michael Key's in it though.
Keegan-Michael Key
Oh,
does do a
really?
Yeah,
voice.
he's
Some
honest.
crazy ass character.
He's
He plays-
honest John the Fox.
He
so
plays
yeah.
the fox. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
But no, it's
Yeah, I don't know when I'll get to that, fans.
No.
Listeners, I don't know if I'll have any takes on Pinocchio anytime soon, to be honest with you.
in reality, I would recommend nobody watching it. I mean, I as a big Disney fan, it hurts me to say it, but
Yeah.
you could skip this one, guys.
Yeah.
Don't need to see it.
It's only got a
Well,
5.1 so far on IMDb.
And it's a day. It's only been a day, so. What do you got, Tyler? What you been watching lately?
Not much, to be honest. Nothing that I really want to recommend. It was like a lot of old TV and shit like that.
That's cool.
Just like reruns, and I think I'm gonna start House of Dragon. I don't
Okay.
think I'm gonna wait because now I'm
Ooh,
starting.
look at you.
I'm starting to. Yeah, I need something to watch, kind of to sink my teeth into.
Uh-huh.
I have a long list of things I need to actually watch.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of like, I'd like to kind of be on the Game of Thrones hype again of like, ooh, what's going to happen next, fan theories and all that.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to this week start House of Dragon, at least episode 1, and kind of see where it takes me, because I'm ready. I'm ready for something.
That's how I am. I'm like, I need to watch Rings of Power.
Rings of Power. She
Yeah.
wants to watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not watching it.
I'm going to watch it with my little Gandalf behind you.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
with a picture of Vin Diesel.
So
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Fucking idiot. Tyler, let everybody know what we got going on for our next episode.
We are going to be doing Don't Worry, Darling. September 26th is when we are going to release it. The movie comes out the 23rd of September. So, yeah, we decided we were going to cover this when the trailer first came out.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, we want to do this.
A few months ago, yeah.
Now, if anyone's been following around, there's been a ton of fucking drama and a ton of this
That's a
and
shit
that.
show.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's a lot of hearsay,
Yeah.
a lot of rumors. That's what's also annoying about it. So it's just like a lot of the media blowing shit out of proportion, and it's really like Twitter and the internet just going nuts on things that aren't true. So it's just getting messy. But we're still going to go watch it, and hopefully it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck about the drama. I don't really care. I just
want to know if it's
I'd
good,
like
yeah.
to know if it's a good movie.
Yeah,
And again, I want to see Chris Pine do some weirdo shit because he looks like a weirdo, and I'm down for it. So
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Like you said, despite all the fucking drama that's going on, I feel like I've heard nothing about the story itself.
Correct. That's
I'm
what
like,
I'm saying.
that's what I'm
There's so
interested
much
in.
bullshit going on that it's starting to like cloud the movie actually, and they
At
got a good
reviews.
response. Like at Venice, they got a standing ovation as
they
well.
got a
Like I mean, every
4
asshole does now, but like they everyone's getting standing ovations and all that. Other than Fight Club, I read Fight Club got a booed. Edward Norton turned to Brad Pitt and said, "Damn, they're booing, and this is going to be the best movie I'm ever going to be a part of."
Wow.
And then Fight Club. I mean, look what Fight Club went
Yeah,
on. to
Fight
do.
Club is
So
Fight Club
That
now.
tells you one thing. But yeah. Anyways, don't worry, darling. That's the next one.
Oh, yeah. In the meantime, Sam's going to let you guys know where you could listen and watch us at.
All right, so you can find us on YouTube. You may not always be able to watch us, but you can go on there and listen if you prefer that platform. Otherwise, come hang out with us on Facebook and Twitter. We're at No Nerds Were Harmed. Twitter is at NNWHpod. On both, you can catch some nerd news updates, polls, our fan cast picks, and more. So feel free to give us some feedback on either platform. Start some discussions. Let us know what kind of nerd you're hoping to see in an episode. If you want to follow our personal Twitters, you can find Matty at TheMatman22, Tyler at Gambit the Goon, and myself at Samwise1227. For our gamers, Tyler is also Gambit the Goon on Twitch, so check out what he's playing tonight. And if you're already listening to us on something, thank you. Tell your friends. They can find us on pretty much any platform, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon. We appreciate any form of listening.
That's right. And that's all we got for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. We enjoyed recording it for you. Until next time, stay nerdy. I'm Matty.
I'm Tyler. Catch you in the next one.
Today, you were